Hey, what's going on? I'm Quis here at Sports Vibes TV, and today I have a special guest with me. I have Steven Fox, but Foxy, I can't even call you a guest at this point because now you're part of the SVTV family. So how's everything with you, Foxy?
Great. I love being part of the SVTV family, and I wish the New York football teams had a better day today, but I'm having a great day, and anytime we talk Knicks, it's a great day. So great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about what the Jets did, but the Giants definitely should have looked better today. But we'll keep it Knicks related, so I won't be so stressed out. But like I said earlier to start the show, Foxy, I just want to say thank you for being a part of the SVTV family. And to those watching, to the chat, Foxy will be on board with us throughout the season. So he will be a part of the team, and you will see him throughout some live streams and also edited videos. But today, Foxy, we've got a pretty jam-packed show, don't we?
We do. Can't wait to get into it.
Yes, we're going to be looking at the starting lineup or the projected starting lineup because we don't know what's going to happen at training camp, but we're going to be looking at Kemba. We're going to be looking at RJ, Evan Fournier, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. Those are the players that we expect to be in the starting lineup, or at least let me speak for myself. That's who I expect to be in the starting lineup. Foxy, do you feel the same way?
I think on paper, and I think we'll get into it as we discuss. I think Kemba, you know, the 2021 Kemba is a little bit different than the one that was on the All Star game in All Star games a few years ago, and the game that Tibbs like. Well, he may. Derrick Rose has some attributes to his game that is more into Tibbs' wheelhouse than Kemba, but we'll get into those facts. So, but at this point, they signed him, and it looks like Kemba may be the starting guy.
All right. So before we get into Kimber, who will be the first player we'll discuss, I just want to shout out to the chat. Michael Jones, He's saying he likes the music. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do take my time to kind of curate some fire music for you guys to listen to. Uh, Ron Cohen, great commenter on some of the edited videos I drop. He always has some very insightful comments. So shout out to you, Ron. Maverick Mac 5 is saying salute Quis and Steven Fox. And Kennard Jordan, you already know. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So with that being said, let's get into our first player. The first player we're going to be talking about is Kemba Walker. Now, Foxy, you were mentioning earlier that you said Kemba may not be the best fit inside of Tom Thibodeau's offense. Could you elaborate a little bit more?
He's a different fit. He has his game is mostly predicated at this stage on threes. So if you look at last year or his career, pretty much last year mirrored his career. 19 points a game, a little over 19 points a game, 4 rebounds, a touch under 5 assists, shot 42% from the field, 36% from three, and got to the line approximately a little less than 4 times, 3.5 times a game. But his game is a lot different. When Tibbs took over last year, when in his first press conference, he talked about that his prototype point guard is somebody who can drive, break down the defense, either get to the hole, or if they converge, kick it out. And that's not really Kemba's game, not anymore. The stats, and when you look at the stats, you could see the impact of the knee over the last couple of years getting to the rim. So as you have up there, he only got 20% of his shots are at the rim now, and I think that is a good shot of a reason of his knee. In previous years, 31% higher than that. But I think that knee may be holding him back, and that's why he's real happy. 30% of his shots are from the mid range, but mostly again in the paint. He doesn't really shoot a lot of mid range or long mid range shots. So 50% of his shots are from three. So that's a different point guard than Tibbs. He's not really breaking down. He's shooting a lot from three. And actually, it's so bizarre in his career. He very seldom shoots corner threes. And for his whole career, if I look at it, the shooting frequency, 2% of his shots going back to his rookie year, 2%, 3%, 4%, 2%. So for some reason, he doesn't shoot a lot of corner threes. But it's going to be interesting. What do you think the impact's going to be? That last year, Peyton came down, kicked it into Randle. Randle did his thing. If they converged, he kicked it out. We all said Hail Marys if Peyton wanted to take a shot. But is that going to be the same offense that Kemba's going to bring? That because he's so much from the 3-point shooter, not driving, is it going to aid? Do you think it's going to aid in spacing? Do you think it's going to change the offense? What do you think, Keys?
Foxy, they're saying your volume is down. Are you able to lift it up? I can hear you clearly, but maybe on their end, it's not as loud for them.
Yeah. Is that better, everyone? Give me a thumbs up if that's better.
Thumbs up in the chat if you guys are hearing Foxy
Is that
better
better?
now. And Foxy, once again, what was your question to me?
Just that we were so used to last year just kicking in. Nobody, they'd come down, they'd throw it into Randle, and that's where the offense started. Whether he would do the passing, whether he would try to make his own shot. If they converged, then he would first kick it out, and a lot of times wasn't with too much time left on the clock for a guy to get a great shot up. Do you think they're going to have the same offenses last year, or do you think that Kemba's going to change the offense, the flow of the offense?
I don't think it'll be a drastic change, but I still think we're going to be a little less reliant upon Julius Randle because now we have a lot more players that can come in and create their own shot, get their own look. And if Kemba is able to return to the old self or the old Kemba that we know and love from his time in Charlotte, then I think we are going to see him be a legitimate option when it comes to initiating the offense and getting things to flow through him. And yes, at times we will see Julius Randle. Can you hear the sound of New York?
Yeah, that sounds pretty to me.
At least, at least you know I'm a native New Yorker, man. You can still hear the sirens
I was
anywhere.
about to say I'm a Bronx boy. It just sounds normal to me. It's like
Yeah, right. It just sounds like New York. The sounds of
it
New York,
just
but
sounds like New York.
but we are going to see, I think, at times where the offense still flows through Julius Randle. He won't have as high as a usage rate. We'll talk about some of the other additions, but Kemba is going to be replacing Alfred Payton, and he has a higher usage rate than Elf. So I think we're going to see players that are going to see a reduction, not because they're going to regress in terms of skill or talent level, but just because you're going to have to fit in players that actually can go and get theirs. They're not going to have to sit down and wait on Julius Randle to find them in their own spot or find them in the right spot. So I'm expecting that we will see Kemba Walker, initiate the offense at times, but we are going to see a heavy dose of Julius Randle out there.
I agree. I agree. You can't be second team All NBA and forget about him real quick. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
build on that great season last year. So just continuing on Kemba from you have on the shot accuracy there, you know that let me just the reality is so many of us saw him when he come in and from Connecticut, but the reality is he's a below average finisher at the rim in his career. He's if I look at his 11th percentile, 25th percentile, 14th percentile, the same thing is a below average mid range shooter, and he's just an average 3 point shooter. So he's not an elite shooter. He's a volume shooter, and that's where he gets his points. But the gold standard's 50, 40, 90. So 50 from the field, 30 from three, 40 from three, and obviously he's a very good foul shooter, and he's up in the high 80s, in the 80% bracket there. But if you're looking for a really great shooter, he's just an average shooter, and and what we're talking about today, folks, is there's no hating here. We're just talking about breaking down the players. Some previous videos that we did, it's like you're negative, yeah, and it's not being negative. It's just this is a new player to the team, and we're trying to manage expectations that based on his career, not just last year, based on his career, that he's just an average shooter. And he had the 20 points and stuff because of that volume.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how he'll look in an offense where you have Julius Randle, who's going to get the majority of the shots, you would think, and then he's also going to be playing with RJ, who we expect to blossom, and we'll talk about him a little bit more. So to see Kemba kind of pick his spots, I think we might see him become a better shooter because he's going to get better looks. He's going to get some open looks, and it'll be on him to knock down those threes and those attempts. I also have his shot chart to kind of add to what you were saying, Foxy, about him not taking too many mid-range shots. As you can see, last season, he was taking a bunch of threes. And if he's able to get good looks, and he knocked it down at what, 36% last season?
Right.
If
Uh,
he can shoot it at 36%, that's much better than what we got from Elf. I think Elf has shot what, 29% from
yeah,
three?
exactly. He was in
Yeah.
the so yeah, and like you said, with the offense, with the Fournier, there's just a lot more weapons. RJ maturing, obviously, he shot great from three last year. Finished up so strong, probably one of the best in the league. Randall, like I just said, All NBA, second team All NBA. So I think Kemba will have a lot of good looks this year. But as you see here, versus what I said about Tibbs, his prototypical point guard, there was nothing on the 3 point line for Peyton, as the New York fans know, unfortunately. But there was a huge mark in that paint. And I brought this up before. He was such a strange player that he had a very elite skill. Peyton. He was second in the league a couple of years ago to Zion in getting to the rim. Finishing was a whole nother story. But getting to the rim causes havoc. It creates lobs for Mitch. He can create all these things. That's not really Kemba's game, and especially in the last 2 years with his knees and stuff like that, the amount of him driving to the hole has decreased. So, from just expectation standpoint, I think he's still going to be, he's going to be putting up a lot of threes.
Well, if he's able to shoot them at that 36% clip, then we'll live with it. But I do agree with you with when it comes to his knee. It based on the numbers, it looks like he's a little bit tentative at getting to the rim. Only 20% of his shots at the rim. I would like to see him get into the paint a little bit more, especially in a Tom Thibodeau offense, where, like you said, he said, Thibodeau has already mentioned he wants his point guards to break down the defense. And it's not, I don't want to say Kimba can't do that because Kimba has the skills. That's something Kimba was great at doing, getting into the paint, finishing, even that, knocking down mid-range step backs. That's something he has in his repertoire. It's just, will he be physically fit to still be able to do those things out there on the court? And it's going to be something that we won't really be able to find out until we see him on the court. I mean, from his time in Boston, things didn't end nicely. Things didn't end on a high note. But I think now he's a little bit re-energized, being in his hometown, being in his city, where he's going to be able to be that starter. I still believe he's going to be the starting point guard, even though he's getting paid a little bit less than, I won't say a little bit less, almost half of what Derrick Rose is getting paid, right? Because Rose is making 14 and Kimba's making 8 if you don't include what he's getting from Oklahoma. So
Yeah.
I expect Kimba to at some point be the Kimba of old and still be able to break down, get into the paint. It's just going to depend on how he fits with RJ, who I can see developing into a secondary playmaker, or and Julius Randle. How is he going to feed off of those guys? Because those are really the big cogs in the starting lineup right now.
I read an article by a top orthopedic surgeon that works on, athletes, and he talked about Kemba's injury, and he literally said that Kemba was much better off blowing out his ACL than what the problem that he has with the arthritic knee. It's akin to how much pain that he can take. It's playing with literally an ice pick. The bones are hitting each other, an ice pick in that knee. And what you were just saying, can he get to the hole? Absolutely, but if he does that on a constant basis, what's the wear and tear? Because the one thing the surgeon talked about is that there's probably not a position in any sport than more than the point guard that the problem that he has in his knee impacts his lateral movement, his explosion, everything that he does. So maybe him being heavy on the 3 point is saving that knee, because it takes a lot of wear and tear when he wants to drive and do those type of cuts to get to the hole. So it's going to be interesting, but I wasn't really happy hearing that surgeon talk about that knee like that. That it's not a question of if, it's when it's going to act up this season. So um, I'm thinking positive. I love him. I'm a Bronx boy, so he's a Bronx boy. We talked off about Rice High School and knowing him and stuff like that. But it's very difficult dealing with. I had ACL surgery in my knee and rehabbed and did everything. And these guys are playing at such a level, and once you reach a certain age, so it's going to be interesting the maintenance that they're going to do, the time management for him to. We have to have the one lesson we learned from last year is the guys were exhausted, and that was a 72 game season. So we have to have people, and Kemba's going to be critical that he's going to have something in the tank and something in that knee left for not only the season, but God willing, the playoffs.
Yeah. So are you expecting us to actually manage his minutes from time to time? Do you see him playing back to backs? Because at the press conference, it seems like Tom Thibodeau was adamant that Kimber will be playing back to back. Something I don't expect. I don't want to see. I want to see us not baby him, but ease him in gradually. Not try to take him from the outset and just make him that focal point on this offense as our starting point guard. Do you expect to see him kind of ease him into the season this year?
I don't know. He's old school. I think he's gonna play him until he complains, and sometimes guys, we all know us guys, we get too macho in our old age. We still think we're young. It's gonna be tough. I wouldn't do it. I would if I was Tibbs, I'd be listening to the doctors, and I'd also keep it real with him. It's like, it's okay, man. I don't want you to back to backs like that, and we'll get into it more. But I think I'd like to plant the seed now that I don't think it's such a bad strategy to have D Rose start and have Kemba come off the bench as a change of pace and do things, do it that way. Rose plays much more of a penetrating point guard than Kemba does. But he doesn't have the knee problems. He had the aches and pains. We saw, Derek grimacing and stuff like that. But I think he may have more life in those knees than Kemba has in that left knee of his. So it'll be really interesting to see Tibbs. But my gut's telling me that they will be managing him big time to try to keep him fresh. It's that type of injury that there's no cure for. It's only how much pain can he take, and that's tough.
Yeah, my only thing about taking Kimba from the starting lineup and putting him with the second unit is I think with the second unit, Derrick Rose, like you said, is that penetrating point guard and can find players like IQ, Obi, Alec Burks.
He uplifted their game. I know it's a hard
Hmm.
thing. You beat me to it. That's the conundrum that we saw Rose up level the games of everybody else he played on that second team last season when he came in. It was a revelation and everything. Kemba doesn't play that, so Kemba's an excellent player. It's just what's he have left in that knee.
Yeah. So like if when you look at the starting lineup, I think Kimba kind of fits perfectly because even if Kimba isn't the player that's going to penetrate and dish, you still have Julius Randle who operated in that role last season. And then you also have RJ Barrett who could potentially blossom into another playmaker out there on the court. And you have Fournier, another player that can kind of find others as he gets into the paint. So I think with Kimba in the starting lineup, you have enough pieces in there to kind of where you don't really need him to kind of go above and beyond the call of duty. If you put him in the second unit, then you got some players that might have to rely a little bit more heavily on their point guard finding them. So I'd be cool either way. But I think I'd be fine with Kemba Walker staying at the point guard. And if we need to, like how we started this conversation, is Kemba going to defer to Julius Randle a little bit more and let the offense flow through him?
Yeah, I think you made a brilliant point about RJ. With the spacing, with the 3-point shooting, and the things that him and Fournier, I can see RJ adding a whole new, like you said, twist to his game, and he being the penetrator. He's an elite getting to the hole. When I talked about a couple of years ago, Peyton was number 2 to Zion in the league getting to the rim. RJ was 3. Was number 3 in the league. And that was in his rookie season, which is even more impressive to be that young to do something like that. So, and the other thing with Kemba is his defensive rating last year was 114. And, you think about Drew Holiday's, that's about 111. Marcus Smart was about 113 last year. So he was in the same vicinity. And Simmons is around 106, but obviously that size, and there's a reason why he's all NBA defensive team. So he has a career defensive rating of 109, Kemba. So with that knee and everything, but I think in Tibbs systems, I see him definitely being serviceable. He's averaged over a steal a game for his career, so I think he'll definitely be viable on the defensive front for us.
Okay, so just to sum up Kimba, we're expecting him to be a solid option at starting point guard. And what we're really looking for is to see how that knee is going to affect him getting into the paint and finishing. And also, is he going to be able to improve his 3-point shooting? Can he get that percentage up from 36% to maybe somewhere in the 38, 39% range? I mean, even that might be asking for too much. Like I said earlier, Elf was shooting 29% and we still were the 4th seed. So if Kimba's able to do some of those things, I think we're going to have a solid option at starting point guard. Is there anything you would like to add, Foxy, before we get into the chat and talk to mention some of these comments?
No, I think you nailed it. That a one-leg Kemba is better than a two-leg Peyton. And I can't wait to see Kemba, and I'll take him limping over Peyton any day of the week. So Kemba, if you're listening, we love you. We can't wait to see you. Bronx in the house.
Yeah, we win a championship so we can parade it up and down Lafayette Avenue.
Yo, yo.
All right, let's see. Let's get into some of these comments. So Keenard Johnson is saying his shot creation is his biggest value. He will force opposing defenses to react and scramble. And that's exactly what Tibbs wants to see. Tibbs always says it's not that first pass, it's that second pass that gets the open shot.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
Lex is saying still want to see management from Kemba. Of course, I don't want to see him playing back to backs, and I want to see his minutes at least to start the season. He's going to be coming off a period of time where he hasn't played in a while, and to sit there and put him out and have him play 30 some odd minutes a game, I think is going to be not the best route that the Knicks should take. What about you, Foxy?
Yeah, and just to keep going on there, Ron Cowan, Kemba can shoot league average from three that you mentioned. I'll take that. He's a streaky shooter. We'll just see how it shakes out. He is a streaky shooter, but streaky is better than bad that we had with Peyton. Everybody, it was a collective. Every time he took a shot, you could hear it across the world. Every Knick fan going, "Oh no, 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 no!" So, special shout out to Delano Steele, our
Nice.
DSJ, one of the great guys.
That was a good one, Foxy.
No, I wish I could say it's mine. It's been around for a long time, but he is
Oh, okay.
everybody's DSJ, and he's one of the best people in the Knick fandom. We love you, Delano.
Yeah, shout out
Um,
to Delano.
yep. Gregory Lee, I hope all is well, Gregory. Thanks for your support. We have the most versatile starting five. Even our bench can be a starting five. They can. Um, but we'll get to it in the weeks. The things that we're dealing with though is that there's so many teams with elite rosters. You just especially in the Eastern Conference. So even with our starting and elite are two different things. So we have guys that are much better than the Knicks teams that we've had, and so I'm glad that we have the Knicks team versus the teams of the 3, 4, 5 years ago. But Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Boston, 76ers, Atlanta, the list goes on. Miami with Kyle Lowry down there. It's going to be a very competitive division, and I don't know yet whether the NBA has made a decision about play-in. Do you?
Made a decision about playing
Play-in, the ninth and tenth
the
to get into
tournament. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
tournament.
yeah, yeah. They're doing it this season, but they haven't made any concrete decisions moving forward. So they're
Okay,
definitely doing it this season, but we don't know about the future.
which is great for us because if they didn't, we'd be fighting tooth and nail to get to that eighth spot. I think because the competition is so great, and going in, and the teams just got better. With whether drafts, free agency, etc. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Big task at hand. Salute to you. Thank you so much for your support. Let's see. Hey, be civilized. Hope all is well. Alfred Payton is about to be handing out award towels. Yeah, he's going to be being the Theo Pinson on some team. I'm sure he's.
Yeah, over there with the Suns.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Ron, if you manage the minutes well between Kemba and D Rose, the Knicks could have pretty quality minutes for the point guard position for 48 minutes. I agree with you, Ron. And you know what? Even if one of them needs a day of rest and stuff, it's nice to have Q and nice to have my guy Deuce. So we'll get into that, but yeah, I'm with you. We're all saying Hail Mary, full of grace for that knee of Kemba, but between Kemba and D Rose, smart management, and with a couple of the other guys on the team, and like you said, RJ and others picking up on the assist and doing different things of, improving their game. I love this backcourt, and I'll take them even if it's a 2-year plan with both D Rose and with Kemba. I'll take that versus the point guards that we had over the last few years, while our young guards learn from them, because there's not a better tutors than D Rose and Kemba. They're real secure with where they are at in their careers. You can see from our culture that we're building. So with the kids, you need special types of vets, and I think they're the vets that are going to allow our kids to watch. But when the next man up and our kids get in there, and also practice. I wish I was a fly on the wall. There's going to be some great practices with the
Yeah,
Knicks.
training camp will be interesting.
Very
Also, just want to
interesting.
remind this chat, make sure you guys smash that like button, and also make sure you're subscribed if you aren't subscribed already. Thank you for your continued support. We're on a race to 5,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can get there before the season starts. If not, we'll try. We'll give it our best shot. All right.
And please hit that dark notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the great content from
Mm-hmm.
Quis. And one last favor, please share this link on your favorite social media platform. So, like Quis said, so we can grow the family. We're a little over 4.5K now subscribers, which is magnificent, but it's not magnificent enough. We're trying for 5, and then we're going to try for 6 and everything. So, but we just love bringing, working hard, and Keese is the man, bringing you great content. And we're real excited about the season coming up and just bringing good Knicks content, entertaining, and just supporting everything, our family in the chat.
Yeah, Ali is saying, who's ever won a championship without a superstar? I would say the Pistons.
Pistons, they had borderline superstars, but yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, Ron Cowher, Deuce is my guy too. Steven. Hey Geraldine, how are you, MacGyver? I hope all is well. Salute to you, and this channel will grow. Thank you, Kennard. Keese is the man, and I know I'll be, whether on shows or behind the scenes, working my tail off to make this the best show possible for our fans.
Yeah, thank you for that, Keynote. We're definitely going to try to grow this channel, see if we can, bring you the best content we can possible. Just want to remind you guys, I will be doing giveaways this season for season tickets just to give back to the subscribers. So make sure, like Foxy said, make sure you have that notification bell lit up. That way you're notified whenever I do drop new content, whenever I go live, whenever I drop edited videos, or whenever I have any announcements to make. All right. So Foxy, let's get into the next new acquisition. That's going to be Evan Fournier. Now, Evan Fournier, we brought him in from over from the Celtics, and how do you think he'll be able to fit in? He'll be replacing Reggie Bullock, a player that was known more so for his defense, but Reggie was still out there knocking down the three at over 40%. So will Evan Fournier bring something new to the offense, or will he take away from what Reggie Bullock was able to provide for us defensively?
No, I think it was a great acquisition. He's much more of an elite offensive player than Bullock. A lot of us, Bullock, like you said, shot over 40%, but I don't know, was it me? But it felt like he was missed the first half last year. He hit 7 threes in the first half and then one in the second half. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, he played tough D, and that's why we had such a great record on our defensive rating as a team last year. But he was pretty much feast or famine. It was 3 points from Reggie or nothing. You're not going to have that with Fournier. He's a 3 level scorer, especially from the 2 and 3 level. Doesn't get to the rim that much, but when he does, he's a very good finisher. He's a fantastic shooter. This guy. So I'm really, real excited about 17 points last year. His career is around 14. His always averaged around 3 rebounds. Thanks. A little over last year, 3.4 assists, which is around his range. And like you said, getting to the rim, only 12% of his shots are at the rim. So he's in the 12th percentile. So that's not very, very high, but that's not his game. But when he does, as you see right under there, but when he does get to the rim, historically, don't go by so much last year, but he's delivered. So as it says, 12% are at the rim, 33% are from mid range, 55% from three. So he's going to be with Kemba and Fournier, they're going to be chucking a lot of threes, and you know what? We need that. And here's a stat for the family that last year the Knicks shot 87 shots per game. Milwaukee, pretty much Milwaukee and Phoenix and Memphis were tied around 92 shots per game. And I did a little history looking, and Golden State during their heyday with Stephon, Clay, and KD, they averaged around 87 shots per game. But the big thing that has to change for the Knicks, and now with Kemba and now with Fournier, that I'm happy about, is I think they're going to still. I'm looking that they're going to be going around from 87 to 89 shots this year, but they're going to be shooting. Last year we were 26th in the league in 3-point attempts. We have to change that ratio. We have to shoot more threes this year. And now that we have a guy like Fournier, now that we do have a Kemba instead of a Peyton, I see us changing that mix less 2-pointers and more 3-pointers. So instead of us averaging 107 points per game like we did last year, I'm hoping that we average another like 115 to 117 points. So I love that we got Fournier. He, especially from three, man, this, from just a shooting accuracy, like he's 56% from corner three. He was 55 and change, around more 56, but he is a fantastic three-point shooter. So he's an above average finisher at the rim. He's above average mid-range shooter, and he's an above average three-point shooter and deadly from the three. Come on, folks. That's a nice acquisition. I know when we got him, people are like, Evan Fournier? No, man, this is a great shooter. So, like you said, with RJ and with Randle and with Kemba, I think it's a very, very good addition, especially from the great shooting. I don't see him. We'll talk about, can he handle the New York media? You and I have seen great players, and whether basketball, as a New York fan, Yankees and stuff like that. Somebody is really good, comes to New York, they just can't handle it. I think he has a little dog in him, so I don't think that's going to be a problem, but we need to discuss it. We've seen it so many times where players come to New York, they just can't handle. When you play in Orlando, you may have 6 guys after a game, not 60 guys, that's asking you all these questions and stuff like that. So he has a defensive rating of 114. Butler, like Jimmy Butler is 108. A Kawhi was about 109 and change last year. Thibault is a lead at 103, but he's a career 111. But we've seen it with Tibbs, Kurt Hingrich and others, that he gets people to play in his system. I think he's going to be, Bullock obviously was a very, very, very good defensive player. He had the hardest task of taking on the best offensive player on the opposing team. I don't know if, we'll see. It's going to be really interesting to see if Fournier does that, or whether he's going to say, put RJ on that guy. And we'll discuss that when we talk about RJ and the impact that'll have. But, I think his he averages around 3 assists per game, 3 rebounds per game, and about 2 turnovers per game. So, like you said, I think with Randle and RJ and Kemba, I think that he could maybe get a few more, assists.
Yeah. Lex the Destroyer, he's saying what I've been harping on since we signed him. I think the price tag is what really got me. I think we kind of overspent a little bit. I won't mention who I would rather we have signed, because they always tell me to be quiet and worry about who's on the team now. So I won't get into it. But to me, there were better options out there. But since Fournier is on the team now, I watched the interview with him on Knicks Fan TV, and I think you got to learn about him a little bit more. And like you said, he does have that dog in him. He had that incident where he kind of got into it with Kevin Durant. That kind of
And I
threw me
love
through a
that.
loop.
I love
Yeah,
that in a player, man, that he
yeah,
didn't was going to take no crap, and let him know about it and got in his face. And that's you playing in New York. That's the type of dog we want here. So yeah, and like you said, shout out to CP and our boy JD at Knicks Fan TV. That was a great interview with Evan, and he's a really, really good foul shooter. But he gets to the line about a little less than 3 times a game. So again, another part of his game. Hopefully that he can. We want people. The good part of getting to the line is that you get the opposing team in foul problems. So we want him to get to the line a little more. But I'm happy with that he's a New York Knick, and I can't wait to see him draining mid-range hit threes and doing, like saying, wow, man, we didn't have this with Reggie last year. Reggie was 3-point or 3-point. That was it,
yeah.
basically.
3-point or bust.
3-point or bust.
Yeah, so it'll be nice to see Evan Fournier be that kind of wing that can actually put the ball down on the floor and actually create for himself and create for others. That's something that we saw in the playoffs. Once the defense kind of keyed in on Julius Randle, he really didn't have any outlets, both to find for open looks or to give the ball up and have them create for themselves or others. So we have Evan Fournier. We spoke about Kevin. We spoke about Kemba, and With Fournier, I just want to see that he doesn't give up too much defensively. Like we know Tom Thibodeau is a excellent defensive mind, so he'll be able to scheme up some things to kind of hide Evan Fournier. But I hope we're not the one putting him against, putting him up against, the Kevin Durant's of the world. Even though we talked about him getting into it, because I don't know if he's going to have a great job, a great time trying to defend, some of those wings out there. So with Fournier, like I
That's
said,
that's a
I
great
like what
point.
he can bring, but I thought we had some better options out there. But with him on this team now, with the way the offense will run or flow, I think, like you said, he can knock down the corner three with a high effective, with a high efficiency. And if he's able to get into the paint, he needs to do a little bit better job, finishing at the rim. But other than that, I think it's a solid signing. We just could have got him for a little cheaper.
You know what I'm excited about, both with Fournier and with Kemba, the impact they're going to have on spacing on the team. Last year, RJ had a shot blocked 86 times. Randall had a shot blocked 70 times in the paint. And I think a lot of it, some of it was them, themselves, but I think some of it was too congested in there. Mitch is not going anywhere on the offensive side. There were times we were all scratching our heads saying, what is Peyton doing in the paint? There was so many people there that they couldn't thrive. I think with Fournier and Kemba, I think there's going to be a lot more room for people to really get their game going. And with the shot clock that you're showing here, he's going to knock it down from three. He's going to knock it down in the paint. You don't see a lot on the mid range. In the white portions outside the key and stuff, inside, by the elbows and stuff like that. But it's a hell of a lot better than a Bullock shot clock.
Hmm.
So, the interesting thing when I looked at the shot clock is it looks like he tends to shoot a lot more from the left side of the key. And it's funny because you have two lefties on there, RJ and Randall. So it's going to,
Well,
that one.
RJ's case, I mean, Randall's case is a little bit different. When we get to his shot chart, which we'll watch next, he's a little right dominant, at least when it comes to the mid range.
To the mid range, exactly. So it's going to be interesting, but um, again, I think it's better than Bullock.
Yeah, definitely a upgrade over Bullock. I think the Knicks did a solid job bringing in upgrades, and they also did a solid job at bringing them in at friendly prices on friendly contracts. Fournier's got the 4 year deal, but we can move on from him after three. Same thing
But I
with
was going to
Kimba.
say
Kimba's
that was
only
the
two
key
years.
thing when people said, in the chat and stuff, the deal and everything. It's what we found out later about that last year that it turned out that it wasn't as bad of contracts as we thought. That it gave, we had a little more leverage than people thought. So
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I like the Fournier signing. It'll be. I want to see what kind of plays they dial up for him. Do we see him kind of be a facilitator out there, be a playmaker alongside Julius Randle, or do we continue to see them have Kimba try to be that secondary playmaker, or even if it's going to be RJ? Like, there's so many options with this starting lineup. We have players that can both score for themselves and create for others, and that's something that is completely different from last season. It was pretty much Julius Randle. Then we traded for Derrick Rose, and then it was those two that were able to create for others and get to their spots on the floor. Now we've got a whole lot of options, and Evan Fournier is a pretty decent one in the starting lineup. And if he's able to knock down that corner three, man, this offense is going to be deadly.
absolutely, absolutely. And what I'm interested in seeing is who's going to be the closers. So last
Mhm.
year we had some issues with not really having a closer on this team, and with both Kemba and with Fournier there, I think it gives us a lot more leverage and takes some pressure maybe off of the Randalls and off of RJ. To have somebody like that, great basketball is not taking a good shot, it's taking the best shot available. So if these guys work the ball as a team, and I can definitely see us having closers this year that we didn't have last year, and we need that. There was a few games that we like, oh no, man, we could have won that if we had somebody that could, and what we learned from Milwaukee is that closers don't have to be your number one, meaning your option. We talked last year that Randall's really a two or a three and option on a team, and RJ, but we really didn't have a number one. But if you look at Milwaukee, Giannis is the number one option on that team, but it looked like Middleton was the closer.
Mm.
So if we could have that
Well,
type of
Middleton's the one that can shoot.
word, you got that right. But
Same
that's the
thing with the
type of thing.
Lakers. Same thing with the Lakers. Shaq was the best player during those initial 3 years. They won the championship, but you could look towards Kobe as a closer because Kobe was the one that could create off the dribble, knock down his shot, and also knock down free throws, which is very important.
Unlike Shaq.
Unlike Shaq, yep. And it took them 10 years to finally realize they needed each other, and by then it was way too late.
Yeah, that was sad. If they
Mm-hmm.
hung out together, man, God knows how many more championships they would have won.
Right? There wouldn't have been an argument about who's the best duo of all time.
No doubt about that.
I don't know how I get onto these Kobe tangents.
Yo, but we're brothers that way. It's hard not to, man. Just loved him. Just loved his game. Loved his, it was in his eyes, man. He was, he wanted to rip your heart out.
Yeah, he was hungry.
He was hungry, and you want a guy like that that's about to look at you and say, I'm going to light you up tonight, man. You want players
And
like
I'm gonna
that.
remind you while I'm doing it that you can't stop me.
You
You can't
cannot
stop
me, man. So
Yeah, I learned a lot from Mamba mentality. We have it here at the channel. You already know. All right, let's get into some of these comments. Ron is saying Fournier isn't a great defender, but he's no scrub on that end. And plus, he seems to be in the right spots in the rotations and seems to compete defensively.
That's a great comment, Ron, and that's the epitome of a Tibbs defensive scheme. That you don't have to. You looked at some of the great teams that he had; they weren't elite defenders. They just were in the right spots. They played perfect scheme. They were in the position they were supposed to be. Then and I think like you just said that Fournier is going to be that type of guy that he's going to be in the right place at the right time on defense.
Yeah, Anthony 212 is saying we have better scorers, but can they D up? I think Tibbs is going to be able to scheme up some solid defensive looks.
And
Because even last season, we didn't have the greatest defenders. We had Reggie Bullock, who was a solid defender, but coming into the season, nobody said Julius Randle was a great defender. Mitch is athletically gifted and he gets a lot of blocks, but there were issues with him defensively that Tibbs was able to work with and get better results from him. And same thing with Alfred Payton. Alfred Payton is a decent defender, but I think Tibbs was able to put him in situations where he was able to make some or to affect the game defensively. He wasn't a scrub out there on defense, even though he was getting cooked sometimes. Trae Young put it on him a few times. So there were some issues, but overall, I think it was still a solid effort by the team.
Yeah, the one thing that we learned is that Trae Young did that to everyone, though.
Yeah, true. Can he do it to Deuce though? That's the $1 million question, or the $999,000 question. That's his contract for the season, right?
The fans won't like the fans won't like the answer, but yes, but he'll do that to Deuce and anybody else, but he won't do it to Deuce at the level that he did it with other guys. So I think Deuce, and we'll get into that maybe next week and stuff like that when we talk about other parts of the team. But Peyton, what Tibbs loved about him, he's a horse. Peyton's father was a defensive end in Canada. So, he was a big point guard. So it was literally like a defensive end, 6'4" defensive end. So you love I love big point guards. So he didn't have certain elements, but if you can, Oscar Robinson said that if he was guarding Trae, he'd pick him up, just be super, super physical with him. So Kemba's good at, drawing fouls, but he does, he's not the size of that, of a big point guard. So, but you know what we talked about, what we may be giving up a little defensively by not having a Bullock and not having a Peyton, I think it's going to be compensated by the extra points they would put up. So we may give up a little more, but we're going to be scoring a lot more. So I think it's going to average out in the end.
We call it Just Odierno is saying what we talking about over here on Sports 5's TV. We're talking about the Knicks starting lineup and how we are potentially one of the best starting lineups heading into next season. So Just Odierno, thank you for pulling up and checking into the conversation. Black Skull is saying they have good scorers or playmakers. That way they won't gas out wanting to play defense. Efficiency right.
Yep. And our guy Gregory Lee, small ball line. Randle at the 5, Obi at the 4, Fournier at the 3, Grimes at the 2. Kemba Rose at the 1. McBride can cause havoc, and if Randall can't handle the job, switch out for no. Out for
I'd probably
no.
switch Randall for. Well, no, I'd probably put Randall back at the 4,
Yeah, you're
right?
making
Because
some.
if you're,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I know people enjoyed watching Grimes in summer league. That's probably the most you're going to be seeing him playing this year. Unless there's a big injury, I don't really see a lot of playing time for Grimes this year. So and Obi at the 5. Oh boy, I don't. He doesn't have the strength to hang out in the 5 position. He doesn't have the strength to hang out in the 4 position.
Hmm.
so so that Gregory, I don't know about that lineup, but I can say if that lineup, it'd be interesting. That's for
It'd be, yeah,
sure.
how about that? It'd be interesting. It'd be a fun lineup.
Yeah, no
Might see
doubt.
that in a preseason. That'd be cool if you see it in preseason. We saw small ball last preseason against the Pistons. You saw Randall at the 5, Obi at the 4, and it didn't really look too great. Jeremy Grant was out there being a beast on offensive rebounds. I remember that like to this day. There's no reason I should remember preseason basketball like that, but that just put that kind of effect or image in my head. I'm like, yo, wow, why is Jeremy Grant out here feasting on Obi Toppin and Julius Randle in the paint in a preseason game? I'm like, what's going on here?
It's weird. What I remember about those preseason games, Blake Griffin, I didn't realize he can pass. That was before he went over to the Nets. He made a couple of passes in those preseason games were gorgeous. And it's like, but it was also, what we talked about Kemba. It was the same thing with Blake. You saw the evolution of his game. A guy that it was Mr. Dunk, and everything with his hops. Now he's shooting threes because he just don't have the knees anymore to do that. But he's
I
effective.
like that rhyme.
Yeah. So
Shooting threes because you just don't got the knees.
yeah.
That was a good one, Foxy. What you call it? Big Task is saying vibes. Do you think that Kelly Oubre would have been a better fit than Fournier? I don't like
not,
Oubre. I
not
wasn't
on
a fan of Oubre.
offense. Not on
Yeah, maybe
offense.
defensively, he does have
Yeah.
the athletic gifts and the talents to stay in front of his man defensively. But I would have preferred Norman Powell. You might say he's undersized, but I think he was able to knock down the 3 at a 40% clip. He was still had the wingspan to make things difficult for larger 2s and 3s in the league. And he got paid actually less when it comes to average annual value than Evan Fournier. He just got the 5th year.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Nick Gay. How are you, Nick? Hope all is well. Thanks so much for your support. We appreciate it.
Hey, shout out
Ke-
to Nick.
yeah, he's awesome, man. Kevin Taylor, I would like to see Mitchell Robinson run with that second unit. They seem more downhill. I don't know about that. I think there's speculation. It's no different than last preseason that the starting gig is up for grabs. I think it's Mitch's to lose.
Mm,
I don't see Noel displacing him. All I care about is him getting healthy.
facts.
Knicks Nation 112. What's good, Sports Vibes and Foxy? Salute to the chat. Salute to you. Thanks so much for dropping in. We appreciate it. We appreciate it a whole lot.
Thank you for pulling up and giving us some support. I appreciate it.
And
So,
like
Foxy,
and just one
go
last
ahead.
thing, Keith
Hmm.
said, hit that thumbs up for the, for the SV Nation, the like button. Hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that dark reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the great content that Keith is putting out. And do me a favor, please share the link on your favorite social media platforms.
What you call it, Foxy? Big task is saying you throwing it up. All right, Foxy, let's get into the elephant in the room, and that's going to be the best player on this team, the most improved player, and let's look at what we should expect for him coming into next season. Now, Julius Randle, last year he had averages of 24.1 points per game, 6 assists per game, and 10.2 rebounds per game. Now, me personally, I expect to see a dip in those numbers, but it's not because of Julius Randle, getting worse as a player or regressing. It's more so look at the players that we brought in. Kemba Walker, he has a higher usage rating than Alfred Payton. Evan Fournier, he has a higher usage rating than Reggie Bullock. And if you look at the players on this team that you might see them to be used a little bit less. To me, the obvious one is going to be Julius Randle. So I think we're going to see a dip in his numbers. I don't think it's going to be a drastic dip or anything because he's become a worse player. I want to see him have a dip in those averages, those per game numbers, but an increase in his efficiency, his percentages.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As funny as it sounds, I am so elated that he signed the extension because that takes he showed he's a leader both on the court and off the court. The contract, he could have got more money, but he was doing it for, he did everything. So now that he has that contract, he can sacrifice, like you said, instead of him saying, I don't have a contract, I'm not going to allow my stats to get hit. Oh man, what's that going to do for me? Now that that contract, like you said, maybe he won't be scoring that many, as many points. I still think he's going to be a 20-point scorer, but he may, be a 20-point scorer instead of a 24-point scorer. But, I think he has that mentality and that leadership that, like you said, you and I off the air, we were going over it and we said, you know what? If you bring in Kemba, usage rate, and Fournier, and then you look at Randall's from last year and RJ's from last year, and with Mitch and everything, it was 114%.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to have to give up touches. And I think Randall is the type of guy for the betterment of the team. He'll give up the touches. And so many of the touches he did last year, he just had nobody. He took too much on. So I think he's going to have much better shots. So, yo, what's my boy Project Nerd saying?
He said, said you got the 1970s cheetah fur on the couch.
Wait a minute, man. I said to Keys in the back that I was putting together my new studio, and my wife had a say in the new couch. So this was my choice, but happy wife, happy life. So she wanted to go with the leopard print and to go with the brick and everything. So I said, baby, anything you want. So I'll let her know, Hector, that you were making fun of her. Hey, by the way, Hector's birthday was this past week. So again, everybody, if you didn't do a shout out to our boy Hector, please do that, and also please support for the love of the game with Worldwide L and Hardwill. Great show, great guys, and I love my Hector.
Salute to them, and also happy belated birthday, Heck.
Absolutely.
All right, Foxy. So let's look at some of the shooting numbers for Julius Randle last season. So he shot 23% of his shots were at the rim, 50% were in the mid range, and 20% or 20%. What kind of word is that? 27% was from three. And only 6% of his shots were from the corner three, but that's to be expected because most of those corner threes were created off of Julius Randle's driving kicks. So now on his shooting accuracy, he shot 59% from those shots at the rim, 43% in the mid-range, 41% from three. And in the limited amount of time he was able to chuck up corner threes, he shot 43%. So are you expecting any changes in some of these numbers with the new additions of these players on the team?
A few things. First, the 43, the 41% from three. I'm thinking because he's such a hard worker that this will become the norm. Because in previous years, last year was an anomaly, and it passed
Mm-hmm.
26% from three, 25%, 34%, 29%, and he went from 29% up to 41%. So hopefully last year wasn't an anomaly. He puts in the hard work, and he has a beautiful stroke. So I think watching that stroke, that I think it'll be it was consistent. I think it'll still be there. And like you said, he's Mr. Mid Range, one of the best mid range guys in the league, especially long mid range. The only thing, like I said, he had 70 shots blocked last year. I thought some of it could be due to congestion, but he has the same problem as RJ in that. I love that shot chart. That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's a shot chart is the definition of a three-level score.
Three-level scorer. Yep.
So you can't ask anymore. But like you said, I think some of those touches he tried to do so much, and like Keith brought up, for a lefty he did so much coming across the lane, going to his right. You know, so I don't think it's going to be, a one and done type of year for him making the second team NBA. You could see that he's gotten better every year that he's been in the NBA. Obviously, he got hurt that first, 14 minutes, I think, into his first game when he broke his leg.
Yeah, that
But
was brutal.
he's gotten better every year. I won't go by New Orleans because of that, but he still averaged 19 there. And the funny thing, what you brought up before, that he played 50, his last year in LA, he played 55 at the power forward, 45 at the center at the five. So, I could see, like you said, maybe Tibbs throwing different lineups up there with him at the five, because of that shooting and stuff like that. But I don't think it's an anomaly. I want him to be a better finisher at the rim. He was only in the 16th. He was actually below average finishing at the rim, in the 16th percentile. And, as we said, he lives. He's one of the few in this generation now, him and DeRozan, that are still shooting mid range.
Hmm. Yeah, you don't see too many shot charts like this nowadays.
you,
Everybody.
you don't at all. It's either in the paint or threes, but outside that little paint area where you're seeing him do, that's beautiful. I love to see that. I love seeing that. Meaning, if you put up a Kevin Knox shot chart,
Can you
it
find a Kevin Knox shot chart? That's the question.
probably on eBay is the only place.
All right.
But the thing is, other than 3 points, especially from the corner, the whole thing other than it is just a white chart. It's like, what happened here? But
Hmm.
God bless Julius. So I don't know if he'll be second team NBA, like you said. I think there'll be sacrifices, but he is a class act. He's willing to sacrifice for this team to be a better team, and I think it will be. And again, I think the spacing is going to change this year drastically.
Yeah, Fox, I think you made a great point that I probably overlooked myself when, he's locked up now. His numbers don't really make that much of a difference until he gets to that contract year, 3 years from now. So,
Now he
to,
could do the right thing rather than the right thing for him.
exactly, exactly. So the fact that he was willing to take that contract shows that he's a team player. So I don't expect to see anything different when he's out there on the court. So he's gonna have to be asked to take some sacrifices, but the game's gonna come to him a lot easier. And I think once that happens, once you're able to have a coach like Tibbs that's gonna be able to make sure that everything out there is working as the way it needs to be, way it needs to. Because if things go left, then you might see Julius Randle say, "All right, I got to put everybody on my shoulder again and try to be that guy." But I think you have a steadying presence in a Tom Thibodeau. You have new additions in Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier that are going to help, you know, carry some of the burden that Julius Randle was taking on his own last season. You've got another year in development in RJ Barrett. You've got a lot of people thinking that RJ could potentially become a all-star player, which we'll get into it a little bit later. And then you have Mitchell Robinson as well, a player that doesn't need the ball much. You would hope he would expand his game a little bit, but he's not a player that's going to be taking away looks or touches from Julius Randle. So it'll be
Yes.
interesting to see how Julius Randle responds on a team that has a lot more talent. But I just expect him to kind of not fit in, but be a true leader. And a true leader knows when they have to take a step back and allow others to step into the forefront. So I see Julius Randle as that type of player, the way he's gone about it in the media, saying that he's built for this. This is the city for him. This is the team for him. And if he continues to move like this, I expect him to potentially be on a championship team with the Knicks at some point if we continue to add talent and maybe make some more moves down the line to stack this roster a little bit more top to bottom.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think anyone will be impacted more than Julius and him having to give up touches in order for everyone to, be happy or play the best ball possible. But what I see his scoring average going down, but I'd like to see his like assists go up. So I'd like to maybe see him go from 6 assists maybe to 8 assists, and I'd like him maybe to go from 10 rebounds to 12 rebounds. You know, He's never been a he's one of the best defensive rebounders in the game, but he's not one of the best offensive rebounders in the game. And some of that's obviously because the scheme and his shot and stuff. And Mitch is there, and Mitch is the elite offensive rebounder in this league, and we'll get into that. But I'd like to see him increase that. The one area that I want Randall to work on more than anything is he had 3.4 turnovers a game last year.
Mm-hmm.
That and again, you show me, folks, and that's not a Julius thing. You show me Booker, LeBron. You show me anybody that has a high usage rate like that. They're gonna have. They led the league in turnovers. All you look at the leaders in turnovers. It's all stars. It's not their bad, but you just in this league, you just can't handle the ball that much without turning it over. And but I'd like him some of those. And thank goodness we didn't see what we saw 2 years ago, that spin from hell in the paint. That was
The Beyblade spin.
exactly that he corrected that. But also the big
You saw
thing
it
is,
sometimes. Every now and again, you saw him bring it out.
but I think when I did, and I think he brought it up when he was frustrated and tired.
Mm-hmm.
It was like muscle memory that, when he was hit, it's like a fighter that they could learn everything, but they get hit, and all of a sudden, I'm teaching how to throw a jab after they've been a puncher their whole life. They get hit with a punch, they go back to being a puncher. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the same thing, but which leads me to the next point. The biggest thing is he had nothing left in the tank last year in the playoffs, and that was after 72 games. So they have to manage him. So I'm looking, and we'll get into Obi in a second, but they're going to have to make sure he's going to have less on his shoulders. So hopefully he's going to be fresher. We need him not only for the season, but God willing, we make the playoffs, that he has, that he still has that endurance, And the one thing I love about him, and especially in the league, he's durable. He's durable. He was exhausted, but he was durable. He played and he played. Last year he let me just see. He played last year 71 games, and he started
Mm-hmm.
71 games. So
Yep.
and it was a 72 game season. So he's that one game. So you can't ask for more from Julius. Like I said, and when you hear the kids talk about him taking him into the film room, and whether Obi, and that he's a really good guy, and also with him talking about Tibbs. Everybody thought Tibbs was this, old school taskmaster, stern, and he's like, I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag, but he's a really nice guy. Tibbs, so Tibbs came off and Randall talking, and he's much more of a player's coach than I thought he was. And I guess, you learn with age comes wisdom. So I'm happy that Randall is a New York Knick for years to come. He's earned it, and I think that the players around him will only allow him to get better and not have to stress out and try to do too much, that he can play within his own game.
Yeah, let's hope Tom Thibodeau is using the Tom Coughlin approach, where he's made it to the Giants, or in this case the Knicks, and he's realizing he has to tone things down a little bit, be a little bit more inclusive with the players, including them in decision making and things like that. But I'm excited to see what Julius Randle can produce. Because imagine if he goes against what we're saying and comes in, offense still flows through him, and he has a MVP type season. I think that would be phenomenal. We'd
Oh my
still get
gosh.
solid production from Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker. We might not see RJ Barrett take the step that we would want to see him take in year 3, but he can still get better. And Julius Randle could still operate with in MVP form. Because look at the Nuggets. Jokic won MVP. Yeah, Murray went down, but Jokic was still on an MVP pace while Murray was out there killing. So I think we can still see Randle get better or have better stats this season, and not necessarily take away from the new additions or RJ Barrett's growth.
And he wants it. You have to want to be great, and you see him putting in the work, and you saw him. He had to resurrect himself. That takes a tough person after that first season with the where we drafted Obi. We were talking about a replacement. Let's trade Randall. That's tough for anyone. You see, this is a game. There's so much mental that goes into this game. You saw what happens when somebody loses their confidence, like a Kevin Knox. I'll bring him up again. That the kid, his rookie season, and then the next season he goes from starting all these games as a rookie and then only starting like 4 games his second season. Killed his confidence. Fizz came in, killed his confidence. He never ever he didn't have the toughness or didn't display it previously. I'm still hoping that he has it in him. But Randall showed toughness and said, you know what? All the things that the people said, it was on me. I'm going to show them that, he wanted to show everybody what he was capable. And that's why in the offseason, people like trade Randall. Do you know how hard it is to make second team all NBA? You know, and you know
At
what
the
I said to
forward position at that.
exactly. And then at this same time saying, as a Knicks fan, I waited for so long to say, you know what? When I think about the game tonight, I know Randall's gonna. I could already mark in Randall for 2010. That's so it was years that we went not knowing who was going to
David
score
Lee, I
tonight.
think that's probably the last time we had a guaranteed 2010 guy on our roster.
Yeah, especially the 10 part.
Yeah.
So Randall, folks, he signed. He did everything he could. Now that he has more of a helping, more of a supporting cast, we're looking for him to, like we said, he'll make some sacrifice. Maybe the numbers won't be there, but if the wins and us going to the playoffs, that's good enough for me.
Yeah. You made a nice point with that, Kevin Knox, him losing confidence. Hopefully, he'll figure it out too. Because if he can come in, maybe he could be, operate in that small ball lineup where he could be a 4, stretch the court or something like that.
And we'll touch on that, but if he does that, the person that's going to be impacted most is Obi.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk
So
about that when we get into the second unit next week.
you got it.
Yeah, next week Sunday I'll have Foxy back on. Like I said, he's a part of the SV family. He's going to be contributing to the channel, so we'll have him on. And next week Sunday, same time, we'll be discussing the second unit because on some teams we have 2 starting lineups. If you want to be honest.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still upset that Hector made fun of my leopard skin couch.
He still looks like straight out of Vice City.
I don't want to show him what my lampshades look like then. What, you don't like rhinestones? Hey,
All right, let's get into the chat, see what some people are saying.
yo, my guy Tricky Nicky, how are you? Thank you so much for the kind words. We greatly appreciate it, and thanks so much for your support. Um, Canal, what logic says we won't make the playoffs? The logic is, did you look at the Brooklyn Nets lineup, the Milwaukee, the Celtics, the 76ers, the Hawks, Charlotte's gotten better, Indiana. I think Carlisle will do for Indiana what Tibbs did last year for the Knicks. I think Indiana is going to be a sleeper team. I think there'll be, Knicks fans wanted Brogdon, Knicks fans wanted Turner. We don't have them, but Carlisle does. With T.J. Warren, Levert, Sabonis. They got Isaiah Jackson in the draft and a few other things. So Canal, that was why that's my logic. That in the past week and stuff, I'm working hard in the background, getting ready for the season, and I'm looking at the Eastern Conference and looking at the other teams. That's why. That's my logic. That wow, there's 7, 8 really good rosters ahead of us, and some of them with elite talent. So that's the only reason I'm saying that it's not a no brainer that we're just going to get into the playoffs with this many quality teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to get into the playoffs. It's just will we retain the 4th seed? That's what
No,
I think is going to be the
we're not
biggest
going to be
issue.
the 4th seed.
Yeah, whether we're going to be the 4th seed or not. I think we'll definitely get in, whether that be a 6th or a 7th, 8th seed, have to play in a tournament or whatnot. But we'll definitely be in the mix at the end
I
of the
got
season.
I got my fingers crossed, and I think it's all dependent, and every team in the league is it's on health. So if we can keep our guys in the backcourt healthy, we keep our guy Mitch, and we'll talk about it in a second, healthy. That dictates so much of what the success is going to be this year. We saw what happened, at Atlanta. Noel's a good shot blocker, but we got killed on the pick and roll. We missed Mitch badly. So it's going to depend on that, and whoa. The ghost of Knicks past. So,
I we're going.
so
They're saying this is
Patrick
going to be the
Fleming,
last year for Knox before he becomes the new Frank.
yeah, he's not that far away, that's for sure. But
Hmm.
and it's a heartbreaker because he's prototype size. You know, he has. And the reality is there's not a coach in the league that can fix Knox. The only one who can fix Knox is Knox because his problem is from the neck up. You know, it's in his head, man. There's nobody
And the
that can
crazy
fix
part
him.
is we brought in his coach, and still we brought in Kenny Payne specifically for him. Not I won't say that's the only reason Kenny Payne is
No,
here,
but it was a
but
huge reason.
that's
You're
a huge
100% right.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right. He was, resurrect this kid. Calipari said 3 or 4, and you know what? He has a beautiful stroke. So, and a lot of the reason he wasn't on playing last year wasn't had anything to do with the offense. It had to do on defense. So hopefully he can grow on that way too. But he's going to be on the bench, working hard in practice, trying to get a couple of minutes in garbage time, I think. And I think his only opening, and we'll go over that next week, is whether or not there's an injury that next man up. But otherwise, I don't see Knox getting much time, man.
So Foxy, any final thoughts on Julius Randle before we get into a young player that actually has a future on this team?
No, one last thing is his defensive rating last year. Julius was 107.
Hmm.
Which was phenomenal. Giannis was 107. Draymond was 106.5. So I'll round it off. So he was playing. Everyone talks about what he did, the 20 and 10 and everything else, but he had a great year defensively last year. So you got to give the guy some props that he wasn't a one-dimensional player. And I think obviously he Mitch terribly when Mitch went out and Noel came in, but I think you got to give him credit for also being a good defensive player, Randall. So like we said, he's going to make some sacrifices. Thank the Lord he signed that contract, so he's not going to be selfish. But he has demonstrated time and time again that he's not selfish. He's willing to do the right thing. So, Julius is our stud. He's part of our foundation. So, and I'm glad about it too. I just hope the fans learn to love him.
All right. So the next player we're going to be discussing, moving on from Julius Randle, is going to be RJ Barrett. Now, RJ Barrett is a player that it's a little polarizing. It was kind of shocking to me. Some fans love RJ Barrett, and some fans think RJ Barrett doesn't have the goods. So, Foxy, in your opinion, do you think this is going to be a breakout season for an RJ Barrett? And if you think it is going to be a breakout year, how would you define that? What do you need to see from him in order to say, okay, RJ has taken this next step?
Yeah, first and foremost, to answer your question, yes, I think he's going to take it to the next level this year. I think he played on a bum ankle a lot of last year that impacted some of his game. But again, I love having guys on a team that show toughness. For you to open up like 1 for 48 from three, you had such woes from three, and again, confidence. It was easy for him to shut it down. That his confidence. He did not. He's tough as nails. Came back, and he was really, from the second half, it was the best 3-point shooter in the league last year. So he came back. So I absolutely, and you know what? I'm a body language guy and always watching stuff. He played. I saw a video of him playing with Tatum and Beal a couple of weeks ago. Did you see that video?
Yep. Yeah, it's got like 30,000 views on Knicks Fan TV.
Yeah. I thought
Go check it out. Actually, it's a pretty good highlight.
I thought everything on Knicks Fan TV is 30,000 views.
Pretty
So
much.
yeah, and power to him. It was a great, great, great show.
Shout
Um,
out to him.
but when I watched that video, I always watch body language, and there was a look in RJ's eyes that I belong at this level. And obviously, when it's scrimmages like that, there's not going to be the defense, not playing D like in an NBA game. But for him to drain threes, for him go with his right hand off the backboard. He, step backs and stuff he was doing. He had you saw, first of all, joy, that he had joy playing the game. And you love having guys, there's nothing like youth, but somebody who loves what they're doing. And he's a kid, so yeah, there was some flaws last year and stuff like that, but he's working on that. So I absolutely think he's on the cusp of being an all-star. And so last year, as you have up there, he was a blink under 18 points per game, right under 6 rebounds per game, 3 assists, shot 44% from the field, 40% from three. And you can't ask any more from that. He shot better than IQ from three, and 74.6. That's an area from the foul line that I think that's easy money for him. So and the one thing that he got to the line last year, a little less than 4 times a game, 3 and change last year, got to the foul line, and that was less than his rookie year. So I want him. I love him at the 2. I think that with undersized shooting guards, he can bully them, and that's where he's at his best. So I'd like him to get more to the line this year. And his shot clock, his shot chart, if you have that, if you can bring that up. I think that it's going to be showing that, as we know, he loves driving to the paint. He's great at getting to the hole, and you see that he doesn't really have a lot in the mid range or long mid range game. It's either threes or in there, and that's where I think I'd like to see him this season, bring in some more mid range to his repertoire. But his shooting frequency, like we said, is 42% at the rim. That's 85 percentile. That's elite. 31% of his shots from the mid range and 27% of his shots from three. So I actually like to see him take about 3 or so more 3-pointers. Last year he attempted 14.7, a little under 15 shots per game, and out of that, he took it was averaging 4, so it was basically 10 twos and 4 threes. I wouldn't mind him taking 7 threes with this team. But what we said earlier, if he's playing on the first team with Kemba, and Kemba's not driving to the rim like Derek or Peyton did, maybe RJ's the one that's going to be that facilitator, that he's the one that's going to be getting to the hole, and if they converge, he'll kick out. So last year, those 3 assists, I'd love to see him get up to 6 assists. Him doing some of the things, taking that burden off of Kemba, having to break down the defense. Let RJ bring that into his game, and especially with the spacing. Not, I really think that he's on the cusp of stardom, this kid. I love, I had issues last year, but rightly so. For a kid that was in the elite getting to the rim, he was a below average finisher. 24 percentile. Finishing, and if you think about his game, 1 or 2 baskets in the paint of him hitting those is the difference of him being a 20-point scorer or not. So I'd like him to not. I'd like to see Randle sacrifice his touches, but I'd like RJ to have the same amount of touches that he had last year, the same amount of usage, because I'd like us to see what we got here. I'd like us to, I'd like us to say, what, let's put it all in and see what we got with RJ, because what, he hasn't really, when you give him the opportunity, he's taking the bull by the horns. So he is, I think he's a leader, and like I said, him, that joy in his face and that look in his eye, that I belong on the level of Tatum, I belong on the level of Beal. I love that, man. I think, when you come in the league, you could see some of the guys like, oh my God, I'm playing against LeBron. So though that aspect of it is gone now. This is his 3rd year. Now he knows he belongs in the league. And I think he's going to show everybody that, and like I said, with Fournier taking pressure off him, and Kemba, and Randle being second team All NBA, I think the spacing and everything, RJ is going to take it up another notch, and I definitely see him. I think he's going to be a 20-point scorer this year. So, I want him to improve his handles. He wasn't great at creating his own shot. He didn't go a lot, didn't use his right hand a lot, but he need those handles. As I said, he had his shot blocked 86 times last year. Some of it was because of congestion, because of lack of spacing, but a lot of it also has to do with his lack of hops. He's not an explosive athlete. He uses his physicality to get to his spots. So I want him to use that physicality and become that penetrator that we talked about. But the key thing that we want to talk about is with Bullock out, is RJ going to be given the role now of defending the best player on the opposing team this year? Because that has impact.
Mhm.
That'll exhaust you. Is that going to take away from his offensive game? Is that going to, really his endurance going to be tested because of him having to play that hard on defense? So, his defensive rating last year was 110. So, like I said, Butler was 108. Kawhi was 109. So, RJ, he's gotten better on defense, and a lot of us saw, back doors and stuff like that, but you can't play in this league without that happening. So I think he's going to, on both sides of the ball, I think he's going to get better. But it's going to be interesting to see the impact on RJ's game with him having to defend the best player on the other team and what that does. Or does it energize him? Some guys, when you shut down somebody else, man, they get adrenaline rush from doing that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what RJ can bring this season because a lot of you hit the nail on the head on a lot of your points. RJ, want to see him finish a lot better at and around the rim. I feel like there were some opportunities that he kind of missed on last season. That I think this season we're gonna see him become a stronger player and a lot more creative off the dribble and operating in the mid range. I think on Twitter, his coach Drew Hanlon is saying that the biggest issue or the biggest focus this offseason was RJ Barrett trying to create and finish off the dribble. So we're gonna see RJ pull up and you know do some jump shots off the dribble, step, pull up mid range, pull up from three, things like that. If RJ is able to become a much better shooter, if RJ is able to expand the areas on the court that he's able to access and do damage, I think RJ is going to be a special tool in this league. Or as you say, you prefer him as a two. Some people see him as a three. Like you said, RJ Barrett ran out there, averaged almost 18 points per game. If he's able to shoot one or two threes
As
per
a
game, if
kid,
he's able,
as a kid,
as
you know
as
how
what,
hard
20
it
years
is to
old,
do that in the
right?
NBA.
You know, and when I was 20 some odd years old, I'd be lucky if I was able to make a free throw in the NBA. So for him to go out there and be able to drop almost 18 points per game and still have people look down on him as if he's not doing something that warrants some, that's commendable. There's not a lot of young guys that can go out there and be able to knock down the shot that he's been able
It's
to do.
greed of being a New York fan. It's like, yeah, he scored 17, but if he hit three of those shots that he missed in the paint, he'd be averaging 25. But you know what? That comes with age. That comes with smarts. What I'd like to see him also do is use better angles off the backboard. That was part of the game years ago where guys, Duncan and a lot of other guys, they use the backboard at certain angles. It's a better shot. It's a better, higher, uh, better shot to use the backboard than just trying to get a swoosh. And so sometimes he just didn't take the right angles and he didn't use there's a reason there's square on that backboard. It's math. You hit a certain point, it's going to go in. So I'd like to see him use the backboard more when he drives to the hole rather than trying to just get a swish right into the basket.
Also, just want to make a quick shout out. Shout out to Canal holding it down as a mod. There's some chats coming in that kind of threw me off, but he's holding it down, making sure that we have a clean and respectable live stream. So shout out to him. Got some of the best mods on the planet here at this channel. So I want to appreciate your hard work. Shout out to you.
Yep. Just a couple of shout outs. Ron again. What Randall did last season was rare. Usually a player gets better in one or two areas, but Randall improved an area of his game in one season. That's rare. And Ron, on top of that, his leadership off the court. You have to put something on that he was not only a leader on the court, but a leader off the court. And that's really, really valuable, especially when you have kids. That what we're trying to do is build a culture, and Randall is very, very much part of helping build that culture now. IQ needs the backboard shot also. Yep, Canal, I agree. That floater, and we'll get into that next week. But yeah, no more 15-foot floaters, please, please.
Yeah,
So
you hate the floaters. I
I
don't have
don't.
I don't mind the
I don't mind
floater
the
as long
float.
as you
I don't. I like 3-foot floaters. I just don't like 15-foot floaters.
see. In certain instances, there's a time and a place for it, but you have to have the floater and also have that mid-range jump shot so you can choose between the two when the situation is fit.
And absolutely, and a lot of it is almost physics. It's momentum. When you're going full speed and you go for the floater, your momentum is going that way. When you stop and come up for the mid range, you're squaring up to the basket, and which is fundamentals. You're just gonna have better percentage of getting that ball in if you square up better than going full speed. He was nailing that floater, but the league is this is a tough league. They watch film and they'll make those little adjustments, and all of a sudden you
They'll
saw
catch
at the
up
end.
quickly.
Yeah, no pun
No pun
intended.
intended. Not on
Ba boom
glass.
boom. So at the end of the season, he wasn't finishing on those floaters like he was, but leaving his feet and stuff like that. But again, I don't want to give away next week's show. We'll get into that. But our boy
Hmm.
RJ, our boy Randall, that's a good foundation. That's a really, and now you add Fournier and Kemba, folks. As a Knicks fan, I am really, really happy. It's baby steps, and we're not making moves like we did in the past, giving up the farm, trying to get a big name, and then saying we have a big name but no
Whoa,
supporting
whoa,
cast
whoa!
now.
Slow your horses. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx
Yeah.
it. Let's get to the trade deadline first.
Absolutely.
Ah, oh man, but I'm excited to see what we get from RJ for real because I think a lot of people have it. They look at Zion. They look at what's his name over in Memphis.
Ja.
Yeah, they look at Ja, and those two players have the keys to their respective franchise. It was kind of different with RJ. RJ's here, and we thought he could have been given the keys, but then Julius Randle went out there and had himself a hell of a season. So to see RJ Barrett, you have to look at it and see the role that he's filling on this team. And he's been doing a solid job. Last season, he was looked at more so as a secondary or tertiary scorer, secondary playmaker. He did his job, had 3 assists per game, 18 points per game, solid rebounder from the two position. So there's a lot of things there to like. Yes, he's not the most athletic too, but being athletic is not the most important thing in the NBA. It's being
Yeah, and
fundamentally
yeah,
sound, having a
ask
high
Cassius
IQ.
Stanley.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
you can be as athletic as you want to be, but if you're unable to get to your spots and capitalize, then you're going to be a solid rebounder and shot blocker. Kudos to you. But at the two, we need a little bit more than that. And I think RJ Barrett has been putting in the work. He is going to come into this season with a lot more respect because I think if you look at RJ and the workouts he's doing, he's cooking against NBA players. These aren't pro runs or what are they? Not semi pro. What do they call them when they're professionals and amateurs? A pro am. It's not a typical pro am. Those are legitimate NBA players working on their games and in pickup games. The same pickup games Devin Booker was complaining about getting double teamed. I don't think you're going to look at RJ Barrett as a type of player that's going to complain about being double teamed in a pickup game. I think he's the type of player that's going to answer that challenge. So I think that comes more to the kind of mindset we have in an RJ Barrett. We have a guy, if you want to be, if you want to say alpha, he has an alpha mentality, that Mamba mentality. So if he's put in a
Absolutely.
position to succeed, I think he's going to definitely flourish.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with fans with RJ and from the kids and stuff like that is that you brought up John, he's not that type of electric player. He's not going to
Hmm.
have Jordan-esque type of dunks. He's going to dunk, he can dunk, but he doesn't have hops like we were talking about that are like, oh my God. He doesn't have that type of athleticism. So he scores an ugly 20 points a game. Seriously. And you know what validated that for me last year at the All-Star game, the voting, the amount of voting where fans are allowed to vote. I looked at the numbers and I was stunned. I think he got 14,000 votes. And I'm like
Mm.
saying, in New York, you would think as a homer that people would just say RJ's on my team. We have millions of people living in New York, and you only can get that many votes. And I think
I
it's
think the
because
issue is he had Randle up against him too. That's a
well,
contributing factor.
but I think fans just vote, and I think the reason is because he's not a highlight type of player. He's like a type of player, like I said, like you watch the game and you're like, wow, he scored 20 points. But then you watch, we were talking like the pre-draft guys like Jalen Green. It's electric because those type of dunks, the type of things that he can do, But 20 points is 20 points. So he'll never be a Ja Morant type of exciting player, but I think I think he's going to be a 20-point scorer. He's going to be, in a couple of years, a blink under 10 rebounds a game, a blink under, 7, 8 assists a game. You can't ask any more for that. So if it ain't pretty, I don't know. That's pretty to me. But some people just
Hmm.
want those dunks.
Are the results pretty? That's the answer. I mean, that's the
That's
question
right.
that you need to be
I'm a
answering.
bottom line type of guy, and he's a bottom line
Hmm.
type of player.
Yep. So definitely expecting RJ Barrett to have a phenomenal junior year. When do you stop calling him by college terms? After sophomore? Then it's just year three?
Say that again.
When do you stop using collegiate terms when it comes to players in their years in the NBA? You stop at two, right? You don't say junior year.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard that.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. You just stop
Yeah.
at sophomore, and that's it in the pros.
Well, let's start a trend. What will RJ Barrett do in his junior year? I expect him to be a potential. Somebody said he would be a potential most improved.
I can see that. I can see back to back Randall and now RJ, because I really think that he can take it. And like I said, the weird part about it is efficiency. If he hits 2 or 3 of those shots that he missed in the paint, all of a sudden he's a 20 something point scorer. And,
Hmm.
and and his numbers also, his efficiency numbers go up, and I think that'll happen. So RJ, I'm team RJ all the way, man.
Yep, and then outside of him with the efficiency numbers and being a better shooter, like you touched on it earlier, him being a playmaker, can he facilitate? We've already seen RJ Barrett have a pretty decent rapport or chemistry with Mitchell Robinson when it comes to finding him in the paint for easy looks. Is he
Yeah,
going to be able to build that kind of relationship with a Evan Fournier, somebody that you said, we've seen can knock down the corner three at a high clip. Can
oh my
RJ
god.
then become that guard that penetrates and kicks it out to Fournier, Kimba, even Julius Randle. Julius Randle can knock down catch and shoot threes with the best of them. Shot 41% from three. We talked about that earlier in the show. So I think with the amount of scorers we have on this team, there may be a cap at what RJ Barrett can do scoring wise. He might be able to bump it up a little bit, but what I really want to see is him become more efficient and him get
Exactly.
that assist ratio, assist to turnover ratio higher and more assists per game. If he can average 5 to 6 assists per game, that might coincide with Julius Randle, you know, his assists coming down a little bit. But I'd rather the offense flow through somewhere like in RJ Barrett, where he's out there on the perimeter. He can find Julius Randle in different spots on the court. Maybe we see Julius Randle operate a little bit more in the paint. I think there's a lot that we can do offensively. It all depends on how creative Tom Thibodeau wants to become. I think a lot of these questions all come back to Tom Thibodeau. So I think somebody said in the
Yes.
comments earlier, this is no longer a honeymoon season for Tom Thibodeau. He's going to have to put these players in the best position to succeed. And it's not going to be something where we can do a carbon copy of last year,
Yeah.
because we brought in players that do benefit the team and in some of the ways that we saw other players that left benefit the team, but they just aren't the same players. And we're going to have to put them in different positions out there on the court.
Couldn't agree more. I agree totally.
And I spoke about Mitchell Robinson. I think that's probably the next player we should actually discuss. So,
You want to
Foxy,
you want to do a quick shout out to the chat before we get to Mitch?
definitely. Let's shout out. Ooh, I done messed up. Let's shout out to the chat. Let's
Yeah,
see what we got
so
going on here. Oh,
Karian
they're talking about when he
Sharif.
got dunked on Bogdanovich.
Yeah, tricky. Yeah, that was an oh my god moment, tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Bring in Levine. You know, Canal. There's some rumors that DeRozan signing there got Levine a little cranky. So I could see if things go a little sour in Chicago. They have a good coach. They have a good, added ball and Vucevic, and they have some good players there. But if there's any hiccups there, Levine may become available. So
Mm-hmm. And Beal. There's a few players that could be available come trade deadline.
yeah, it's coming to the point that I don't know about Beal, meaning RJ is there too. And for us to give up a farm for Beal wouldn't make any sense. Levine, though, if we can get him at a good price, but again, as crazy as it sounds, I want a 6'9", 3-and-D wing. Levine is basically RJ's size and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say no to Levine, but but a lot of what he does is playing in RJ's role, and I think we got to give RJ that opportunity. And also, you saw with Levine that he hasn't been on winning teams with all those great stats. Hey, quick shout out to Soulfinger. Hey, one of the great guys. I love his takes. A really, really good guy. Got to know him on Ron Cleveland show. Shout out to Ron if you're listening. Had a really nice discussion with Ron this past week. He wanted to send his regards to everybody. He's doing well. Do me a favor, please say some prayers for Mama Joyce. She got out of the hospital. She's doing much better. Ron's daughter got married, but life is good. He's on his journey, and he just wanted to send his love to everybody. So shout out to Ron. So, but Soulfinger, hope all is well with you and your family. You're awful, awful cool, dude, man. Love your takes.
Foxy, I want to address this one. It says Randall can knock down threes with the best of them. On what video game? I mean, Julius Randle shot over 40% from three. That's above average. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
better than above average. To be honest, what's the average? 37%?
Yeah, exactly.
36,
So,
37%.
yeah,
So I
so
think, especially for a power forward, that to me, that's shooting threes with the best of them, at least based off his performance last season.
oh, absolutely, that's elite. Like I said, 50, 40, 90 is the gold standard, and he shot above 40, so that's almost platinum standard now.
Also,
So,
Foxy, before we get into the next comment, I just want to make a quick announcement. We currently have 100 in chat. I wasn't expecting that. We were going up against a lot of external forces. You got Sunday Night Football, probably still going on. CP, I think he's streaming as well. I don't know if
he
JD was
is.
on tonight with them, but they definitely have a great show to check out. So for us to have 100 some odd people in chat, I think that is a major achievement for tonight. So thank you, Foxy, for
Yeah.
co-hosting with me. Thank
Oh,
you
it's an
to those
honor.
members in the chat for sitting through the show and engaging with us and providing phenomenal comments. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, and also our brother George was in from into the Knicks first was in
Yep.
a little while ago. So George, if you're still there, we love you. Just wanted to say hey during the broadcast. Sometimes you can't get to it on a timely basis, but
Yeah,
you know we love you, man.
definitely. So now let's get into the next young gun on this team. You would still consider Mitch a young gun?
Oh, absolutely,
All right, so
absolutely.
let's get into Mitch. Now, Foxy, what are you expecting from Mitchell Robinson this season? Now he's off injured. Well, I won't say he's off injured. He was off injured last season, but before that, he had some nagging injuries here and there. But he didn't miss a substantial amount of time like he did this season. So, what are you looking to see from Mitchell Robinson? Is he another player that can potentially take a next step, or if he's going to take that next step, where is he going to have to improve his game in order to do so?
I think you started off that we have to start with the health part first. That we saw the impact against Atlanta, and if you watch the everyone who watched last year saw that before he broke his finger and had that freak accident around the halfway point, he had tape on his shoulder. We talked about him, laboring, coming down the court and stuff, and it was like you have another half a season ahead of you. So when he broke the foot, it wasn't a contact, didn't hit, it wasn't somebody landed on somebody's foot. He came down on his own foot. So I'm just hoping that that was just a off year, that he could come back, and we need him to be healthy. Even if remains what he is, he's an elite shot blocker. He's an elite rim protecting. He's one of the best offensive rebounders in the game. Good perimeter defender. And obviously, uh, he's mostly putbacks on the offense. He has no offensive game. So as you see,
Wait till we get to that shot chart.
Yeah, I think Helen Keller could predict that shot chart. But he averaged 8 points, and that's what his career average is. Pretty much 8 rebounds. I'd like to see him hit that double digit. Here's the big area though for less than 1 assist, and he's done that in his career. 0.5. That's an area that if you're not going to shoot, okay, but then I want you to pick up your assist game. Pinch post and stuff like that. And it's funny because I said to somebody, as we see here, he shot 49% from the foul line, which is terrible. But it's funny with Knicks fans, if he shot 49% from pick and pops from the foul line, Knicks fans would be ecstatic, So I'd love him to get, and even if he misses, you have to keep honest. You can't have a team. Last year, there was times that they were going against 3 players because Peyton couldn't shoot or wouldn't shoot, and Mitch didn't shoot. So I'm more than anything, I'm looking at him as our defensive, force, there, that our flagship defensive player, and hopefully more of his offensive game. But with a Kemba, with a D Rose, with an RJ, like you said, RJ, so many games, the first play that they scripted out last year was RJ would come down and did an alley-oop to Mitch for a dunk. So I'd love to see that with Fournier and everything. Mitch get more handles. He has okay hands. He has better hands than Noel, and that's, Noel has one of the worst hands in the league.
Yeah, that's not saying much, Foxy.
Not saying much, but I'd like to see him take that step up. But like I said, he only gets to the foul line less than 2 times a game. I want him to get fouled, but hopefully, he can get better at the foul line and, go to the next level. Why don't you show our family, the SV Nation,
The shot chart?
the shot chart? Oh, I bet they'll never guess this. Oh boy. So, well, he dunks the ball, and did I say he dunks the ball yet? So I'm not looking for him to shoot threes at all, but I'd love for him to take some pick and pops from the elbows. I think that would change everything, and it changed the team. They'd have to keep honest, that open up to, people coming down the baseline for other things. So absolutely. So we know that almost all his shots are either lobs or putbacks. And, so that's the reality, that he has no offensive game. And I don't know if we'll see that this year. I think it'll pretty much be the same. But I'd be happy if he's just healthy and can play great defense. I can take that, and I think he'll still score 8 to 10 points a game on putbacks because he's such a great offensive rebounder and stuff like that. And he also showed last year that he reduced that foul trouble that was plaguing him earlier in his career. So I'd like to see him set better screens. What are you smiling about? What's that great smile?
It's hard to listen to you and read the chat at the same time because they're hilarious. You got someone saying Noel, Keyshawn is saying Noel needs some wide receiver training. Tricky Nicky is saying I've never seen the sun so bright ever. I mean, that is a crazy shot chart. But continue, Foxy. I'm sorry I interrupted
Well, the
you.
good news is it doesn't look any different for Noel.
Oh.
So they have the same shot chart. You would never know the difference. So he doesn't get to the foul line much. But like I said, he averages less than 1 assist per game. And you know what? If you don't want to shoot the ball, at least pass the ball. And So and get up. He needs to get double digit on the rebounds. When we look at guys like Capella that we saw and everything, it starts at 10 rebounds and goes up. The 8 rebounds are good, but you gotta get 10. You gotta get there, Mitch. You gotta get more assists. And his defensive rating last year was 104, and Gobert's was 100. So Embiid's was 103.9, which is the same basically as Mitch. Bam was 108, so he had better defense than Bam last year, Mitch. So, like I said, I think this would be a great team, even without his offense, if he can just stay out of foul trouble, become set better screens, not lose. He jumps too much on perimeter sometimes, trying to on the block 3 pointers. Don't leave his feet as much. But even if he just does what he does on the trajectory, I think he brings so much to this team on defense. And like I said, watching Noel get abused on pick and rolls, that wouldn't have happened with Mitch. I really don't think it would have happened. I think we would have. I don't know if it would have been a different outcome, but I think it would have been a closer series with Atlanta if Mitch played.
Yeah, I think when you look at Mitch's athleticism and his wingspan and things like that, he definitely would have been better in pick and roll situations than Nerlens Noel. I think when you look at Mitchell Robinson and those physical gifts, it allows him to both be able to stay in front of his man on the pick and roll when he has to switch, and still have the ability to disrupt passes to the big cut into the basket. So I think Mitchell Robinson just being on the court healthy is going to give us, we're going to be better leaps and bounds against players that have pick and roll heavy offenses. But when it comes to Mitch, if he wants to take another step, I would just like to see him expand his offensive repertoire. There's nothing wrong with him hitting, like you said, a nice little mid-range jumper from the
Exactly.
elbow. I did
Exactly.
a video with JD from JD Sports Talk talking about Mitch, and when I met him, and in that video, I was able to find highlights where you're seeing Mitchell Robinson knock down consecutive 3 points. There's no creative editing in the video or anything. He's knocking down 3 pointers after 3 pointers after 3 pointers. So if he's able to knock down those 3 pointers, can we get him to get a nice little pick and pop game going on where he's able to knock down mid-range shots from the elbow? Even looking at this team, there were opportunities where Nerlens Noel was able to find open looks and take mid-range jump shots. He didn't knock them down at an effective clip, but at least he took them to keep the opposing team
Th-
honest. They had to at least step to him. What were you going to say,
Thank you.
Foxy?
Thank you for saying that, because there was a conspiracy theory last year that people like Tibbs wasn't allowing Mitch to shoot. If Tibbs allowed Noel, like you just said, to take some of those mid range shots, why wouldn't he let Mitch take it? So I don't think there was any validity to that conspiracy theory that Tibbs was saying don't shoot to him, because there were times where he'd get the ball and you're like saying there's nobody within 10 feet. Mitch, take the shot. We don't care if you miss. Take the shot. If you can keep them honest, it changes everything. So that, hey, I wanted him for the last few years to spend a few weeks with Kareem learning a skyhook with that athleticism of his. I think it would have been a natural for him to have some type of, a floater or a jump hook that, but something. So this is, but what the good part is, motivation, that this is the contract year. So if he doesn't bring it this year, it's on Mitch. But it's going to be interesting to see if the Knicks say before, they're going to try to sign him and get him, signed up. And you talked about it. Williams on Boston, is that going to be the contract level around 13 million or so, 13 to 15 million for us to
Yeah, the
lock him up?
measuring stick.
The measuring stick, thanks. That the 20 million that Jared Allen
Jared
got.
Allen.
I don't think we
Yeah,
want to
that
see
was
that.
wild.
It's especially wild if you're signing Evan Mobley as your first round draft choice. I guess they have Twin Towers now,
And
but
then signing Taco 4. They signed Taco too, right?
yeah, I,
Still have Kevin Love.
yeah. Well, if what's left of them, well, they still have Kevin Love's giant contract. I don't know about.
Contract.
I don't know if they have him on the court for the next couple of years or it'll be sporadic. But I wouldn't be surprised they lock him up, because you can't teach his athleticism. So hopefully he had, some immaturity issues, tweets that were cryptic that you're like, come on, Mitch, and I brought up on a previous show that he did a couple of things that bothered me last year where he was injured, but you saw him fooling around that Tibbs had his board and he's doing the plays and everyone's looking around. So the players are huddled here and Mitch is goofing around talking to somebody on the side. So he has this goof side to his personality. He had a kid this past year. So I just hope from a maturity standpoint that when you're in crunch time in a game, it's no time to goof, even if you're not playing, man. Show the team that you're just as, and also you should be studying. You should be always like a student. Like, if Noel's in the game, what's he playing? Because if I was in there, that's what Tibbs would be telling me. So I just hope from the maturity level, he goes to the next level. No stupid tweets, and go, and just takes his game to the next level and working out. He needs a lot of yoga, man. He needs to stretch out, get limber, because he said you saw him that he's put on weight, hitting the weights. He's much bigger. Hey, you're a 6-footer. You're not a little guy, and he was a monster next to you in the pictures. So one of the pictures was you guys walking toward the gate, or it was like, oh god, it was like Godzilla,
Yeah.
versus everybody. So, and it's weird sometimes guys that are really athletic like that, when they put on like 20 pounds of muscle and stuff like that, does it impact their hops? Does it
Doesn't take
impact
away from it. Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be a real interesting. But like I said, he has that carrot of a contract right here. So we're hoping that he's hungry because he's paying 6 agents. People think that if he fires an agent, well, the agent's like, well, you fired me, but we signed the contract, so I'm still getting my percentage. So this guy is paying money to a lot of people, and that again showed his immaturity and some bad decision making. So hopefully he reached that saturation point of making moves like that and can finally go to the next level. But Lord, let us all, SV Nation, let's please say a prayer that our boy can play healthy, because I think if he's healthy, everything else will fall in place.
Yeah, I don't get into players' personal lives too much, but we have another Nick that just recently brought a new child into the world. Obi Toppin just had a baby as well. I saw that on social media. So shout out to him.
Yeah,
Congratulations
as we
to
say in the
him.
hood, Mazel Tov.
That was a good one, Foxy. But when it comes to getting back to Mitch, you talked about him, upping his assists. Yeah, I definitely think he should be in a position where he should get a little bit more assistant point. What was it, 0.5? But I think when
Yeah,
you look
not
at
even one assist he didn't have for his career. Also, I think he averages 0.7. I don't have it. If my brain, yep, I was right. 0.6 for his career. It was a 0.1 off, but you got to average at least one assist. Come on, Mitch, man, and he's in a perfect position to do it. So
see, my thing with that Fox, was only that they don't really dump the ball down to Mitch to really put him in positions to really find open teammates. Whenever Mitch touches the rock, it's going straight to the basket. He's either going for a dunk or he's going for an alley oop. So if we see a little bit more creativity where where he's operating more so shooting mid-range shots, I think that's going to be the change in his game where he'll be able to get more opportunities to find players, because at that point players are going to rotate towards him to try to stop him from shooting the mid-range, and he's not going to put the ball on the floor. At least you would hope, fingers crossed, he doesn't put the ball on the floor, because that's not something I really want to see. So once players try to
what you
close
don't like?
out,
You don't like 7-foot handles?
I'm cool with 7-foot handles because Kevin Durant finds a way to get it done. But what I've seen in some of his workout footage, I don't really think that's an area we need to explore. But
Yeah.
If he's able to develop a mid-range game, and at least then he can try to find players or teammates as the
Yeah.
opposing team reacts to him. Or even if he develops a post move, like you said, little hook shot, because then in those situations he can read the defense and react. But when he's coming off of a pick and roll, going up for alley oop, catching the ball, trying to put the ball back in the rim, he really doesn't have the time to really make those reads. He's just
But we need him
one
to,
single
because
focus.
yeah, because if you're going against an Embiid, you're going against a Capella, you want to get them in foul trouble. So
Mm-hmm.
get that ball and let him do some. He has the hops and stuff. I think that he can get fouls if he's put in. Get that. There's not a better thing to do than get your opposing team in foul trouble. So put him in a position like that. Yeah, I don't care if he only shoots 50% from the line. If if Embiid and all those guys that we're facing, Bam, etc. in the East are in foul trouble. That's good for us, man. That's good for us. Hey,
Yeah,
do some shout outs.
definitely. I want to say, can we get some more likes real quick? Because I think we're
Yeah.
pretty close to 100. We're right at 80. We got 130 people in chat roughly, and we got 80 likes. So can you guys, SB Nation, do us a solid, smash that like button. I'd appreciate it. Foxy would greatly appreciate it. I think we've been putting on a pretty solid show. I like the way the direction of this show has been going on. So let us know that you appreciate the show as well by smashing that like button, subscribing to the channel, and also sharing a link to this live stream. We still got some more topics to discuss. So not topics. We're gonna look at some more shot charts and then move forward from there.
But don't forget that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the great content
Mm-hmm.
from Quis. And also, please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. We really, really appreciate it.
Yep. So any Fox, any comment you want to shout out? I know Ron just dropped a nice one. I want to see what the extra weight is going to do for Mitch's game. You
Well,
think it'll affect it too much? I think when you look at the weight and the
it
injury he
goes
just
two.
had.
Yeah, it goes two ways. That extra weight's going to allow him against. We complained about Drummond and others that he couldn't hold the spot. That
Mm-hmm.
because he wasn't strong enough. That weight may change that he's going to be able to finally hold a spot a little better at least than he did in the past. But what's that impact on his, like you said, his jumping, his reflexes? You know,
His injury. Because remember that Jones fracture is an injury that can be re-injured. It can reoccur. So now he's got 20 more pounds of muscle and well, any kind of weight. 20 pounds is 20 pounds.
the
Muscle,
force
fat
on that.
on
Yeah,
on that foot. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
yeah. Hey, Duras, thank you so much for the shout outs. We really appreciate it. Geraldine McIver said they had the opportunity to offer Mitch more money before now. They did, but I'm
Yeah,
glad.
they're discussing a low ball offer. I think Geraldine, Canal. There's a few of them going back and forth discussing the contract situation with Mitch. If Perry and Mills lowballed him as a second round pick, but I think it was a good deal for the Knicks because they had the multiple ex, extensions, not extensions, but they had the multiple options, player options. If you look at Mitch's contract, it was a 2 and then it was a 2 option years. I think with Deuces is 3 years. I think 2 are fully guaranteed, and then he has the 1 option year. So I think what a lot of noise was when it comes to signing Mitch was that we were able to get a player that some projected to go in the first round, and we were able to get him in the second round and then get him under control for 4 years. So that was really the big swindle, not the fact that we lowballed him. We just stopped him from getting to the free agency a lot quicker. Because if you look at even players like Gilbert Arenas, I think Gilbert Arenas got to the bag before a lot of players in his draft class because he ended up signing. I think he went in the second round too, I think, and he got the free agency quicker, and he
Yep,
ended up getting the bag with the Wizards.
absolutely, absolutely. Hey, shout out to Frequency, my friend. How are you? I was the youngest director of an organization at 25. Maturity is needed in Mitch's case. Absolutely. Was McRae lowball on his deal?
I
Probably.
think he's for a second rounder. I think he got lowballed compared to where he was expected. If he was a first round pick, he would have got paid a little bit more.
Oh, no
But
doubt.
he ended up signing, I think, a 3 year deal. The first year he's making about 900 and some odd 100,000, and I think the last year is going to be 1.8 million, which is similar to what Mitch is making this season. From what I remember with his deal, I haven't looked at it in a couple days or a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Hey, a shout out to Craig Mack. He says, how many assists does Clint average? Great point. He averages less than one assist per game. So that's the same as Mitch, but the only difference is he averages over 14 rebounds a game, not 8, and he averages over 15 points a game, Capella, not just 8. So he's basically, almost double or
Doubling, yeah.
on both points and rebounds. So you could look away from that on the assists, but he shoots foul shots just as bad as Mitch. But Craig, that was a great point, man. Uh, who's pool crack? Is that a new one? If you generally think the Knicks have one of the best starting 5's in the league, you're crazy. Um, so we said they have a good starting five. You know,
I asked a question and people, I don't understand. I put a question in the title, and people automatically assume that that's what I mean. Oh, that's how I feel. Like, for example, when we did the Quentin Grimes, I asked if Quentin Grimes was a lockdown Allen Houston, and everybody's like, he's no Allen Houston. Allen
I
Houston doesn't
know
play
in the
defense.
comments.
I'm like,
I
I'm just
did say
asking
that.
a question. I didn't. We mentioned Allen
wasn't
Houston
it
maybe about
wasn't a
once.
statement. It wasn't a statement. It was a question.
Yeah,
I
I'm just
know.
asking. I'm just trying to invoke conversation. That's what I like to do here on this channel. I like to
Yeah.
ask questions and get thoughtful responses. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Hey, Craig Matt said Sly Fox and Baby Barry White. Yeah, baby. He's calling you Baby Barry White. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, JD pulled up. JD pulled up with
Yo.
he's maybe I shouldn't have shouted him out because maybe he wanted to be behind the scenes, but he deleted some file stuff in the chat. So shout out to JD for holding down the chat.
Yeah, thank you, JD, as always, man. My brother. More like my
Yeah,
nephew.
yeah.
It sucks being old, but you both of you are like nephews to me. So and I'm proud of that. So I'm learning from you rather than the other way around.
Hey man, we're learning from each other. I learn from you. I learn from the chat. That's what I think is so great about YouTube. I come on here and I leave knowing a lot more than I started when I started streaming.
Yeah, that's why I love calling them, the SV Nation, man. I love our chat. I love talking to them. I love hearing their questions. I love their support. And believe me, we greatly, greatly appreciate it, man. So there's
Nice,
our
nice, nice.
smorgasbord of shot charts.
This is with everybody in the projected starting lineup. I just wanted to put it up on screen, Fox. Do you see any areas that might be of a concern when it comes to multiple players like in the same spot out there on the court?
Yeah, that's why I said earlier that the difference of D Rose, you're going to see a hell of a lot more marks in the paint than the 3-point shot from Kemba. But I think this is
Oh,
what they did in the past. Yo, this is a test of the emergency broadcasting system. In the event of an actual emergency, you'll be told to call Soulfinger, Tricky Nicky, and Pedro Cepedas. So good to have you back, my friend. Yeah, but you know what? I always look at that's past. This is coming up. That's what they shot on their old. I'm looking at Kemba and Fournier, but but that's the league now. Everybody's chucking from three. I think a lot of teams, that's what their shot charts look like. That they're just bombing from three, man. Milwaukee led the league in scoring this year, 120 points a game, and that comes from bombing them threes like that. So I'm not. Once the game starts, we'll see how they play with each other, how they vibe with each other, and especially with the great coaching that we have on this team, I think it'll work out. The only thing that concerns me is more than anything is that Mitch. Let's get a couple more marks outside of the rim area, but like we said, Randall and RJ, you can't ask any more. Fournier will come in. He's a smart player. I think he'll adapt. And the same thing on Kemba. So, and like we said, if anyone's gonna change the game, change their game, it's gonna be Randall to help the others get better. So, I'm not concerned about the shot charts as much as because of, like I said, the quality of these guys. They're gonna play together as a team, and I think they're gonna win together as a team.
I hear you on that, Fox. Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't think these guys are gonna have too many issues because these guys. I don't think anybody is like selfish. I don't think we have players on this team that you can really say they're only out for themselves. Or, I mean, I'm not gonna front. I felt like that about Burks towards the end of the playoffs last season. The way he was playing, I thought he was just really out there looking to get his contract.
Yeah,
But
no
if you're
doubt.
looking at right, yeah,
Oh yeah,
he got it too. He got it
he was
too.
looking
But
off guys for passes. It was like,
yeah, right, I'm like, yo,
yeah.
what is this guy doing?
I know I was saying the same thing. Like, but like you said, yo, I know what he's doing. He's playing for that contract because he's one and
Hmm.
done.
Or at least he thought he was.
So at least he thought he was, but they brought him back and stuff like that. But since we got rid of Trier, there's really no selfish players on this team from a few years. So
Yeah, but I like. I think Kimba's is cool. You see a lot of three Kimba and Fournier. You can see just the amount of 3-point shooting we've added to this team. They based on this shot chart alone, they're much higher volume 3-point shooters, or at least when it comes to the majority of their shots or the bulk of their shots. Then you're looking at players like Randle, RJ, and we're not even going to mention Mitch because we know Mitch doesn't shoot threes.
yeah, the funny thing is going to be about Tibbs. Tibbs is a math guy, and the reason he doesn't want to, he didn't go historically crazy in the three is because of it's a higher percentage shot to shoot mid range than it is from three. But that's not the way the league's going. That's not the way the kids come out of college. Everyone is shooting and the impact of Stefan and stuff shooting logo threes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. What you're going to see a lot though on Kemba is coming down and pulling up a three. So you won't see in the past where you see a guy come down and hold up and let everybody get set up. I see him doing a lot of pull up threes and transition and stuff like that. And if it goes in, I don't mind. And I don't mind if there's somebody under the rim. I just don't want bad shots where it's like, yo, what are you doing, man? There was nobody to rebound, and also there was somebody with a better shot to the right of you. So, but you know what? Like I said, he's a class act. I don't see that. I think they're going to do they're going to be the only thing is it's going to take a little while. You got two new guys there. It takes a little while to know the spots where their spots are and them to know where your spots are. So it'll take a little while. I'm glad they're going to have a real training camp this year. What are you smiling again?
Keyshawn wrote something funny. He said, compare that to Peyton's shot chart. Peyton has about 4 spots on the 3-point line where he has attempted 3-point shots. And I would assume he had missed them most of them because he only shot at 29%.
Yeah, yeah. His shot chart is basically a little bit like Mitch's with a
Yeah,
couple little dots around the outside.
actually, it's like RJ's in the paint
Exactly.
and then
With
a
a
sprinkle
sporadic
of three.
a sprinkle of threes, but like you said, it
Mm-hmm.
looks very much like RJ. But like we said, it was the shot chart. It wasn't what went in because we know with Peyton, how many times you're like, oh my god, how do you miss a shot from
Mm-hmm.
2 feet like that? And then a few
Pool
minutes
crack. He's on
later,
the Suns. Pool crack is acting. Isn't he on the Mavs right now? Now he's on the Suns.
he's on the Suns. He's on the Suns bench,
At the end of the bench.
end of the
What
bench.
did he sign? Another 1 year, $5 million contract or something like that?
Yeah, but you know what? He was a malcontent at the end of the season. His body language, he didn't want to be involved with the team at the end of the year. I know he lost his starting job and stuff like that, but come on, man. So I'm surprised he got a gig. Who wants to bring somebody that has an attitude like that can sour? That's a cancer. You don't want cancer in your locker room. So I think he
Mm-hmm.
should be lucky that he got that. But I think it was with Phoenix that he actually he's such a weird player. Him, Michael Jordan, uh, Oscar Robertson. He's only one of few players, Westbrook, that had 5 triple double games in a row. So
Mm.
it was always crazy that how could he show the talent to achieve an accomplishment like that and then play the other games like he plays?
Like dirt.
So hey, he's a young man. I don't wish bad on anyone. I hope he does well in Phoenix. But so long. I'm glad he's out of here. And like I said, I'll take a one-kneed Kemba over a two-leg Peyton any day of the week. So, and as Lex the Destroyer said, he's the Suns cheerleader. I don't know if he could be your cheerleader, but he'll be on the Suns, that's for sure.
Like somebody mentioned earlier, right? He'll be their version of Theo Pinson.
Exactly. Well, he relishes that role, and that's why people love him. I don't think I can't see Peyton having that same type of enthusiasm to get the guys going. I don't think. I think he's like, nah, man. I played a first team, and I was a starter in this league. Last thing I want to be is a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But you said
um,
it. Emphasis on he quote unquote was. He is no longer a starter, and he
yeah,
shouldn't be.
yeah. Well, he's a has been, or in his case, it never was. So, Pedro says Jericho Sims, you watch, he's raw, but he's a baby DeAndre Jordan. He looks great. Grabs summer league, but he's strong center and he's agile under the basket. Pedro, I think we'll go into that next week, but Sims is going to be spending most of his time where he needs to spend it in the G League, and we'll definitely go into more details next week when we go over the second team and and the other guys on the bench. So Craig Mack, they overpaid for CP3.
Hmm.
Yo, it's so crazy how
I should have been
valuable
a point
he is.
guard, man.
Thank you.
Either
It's
a
like you have a
point guard
child. I want you
or a
to be.
quarterback.
This dude is. They're paying a 40-year-old point guard, and then that just shows, and that I brought it up before that playing point guard, part of it is from God. The things that CP3, that's not, he didn't learn that in college. He didn't, God gave him that, but it's graduate school to learn to play point guard in the NBA, and so many kids are one and done, and they don't learn the in high school they're dunking or they're a man among boys, so they're going to the hole at will, and then they go and do the same in AAU, and then they get to college and they're one and done, and they don't learn the craft of a point guard. So that's why whether him or Conley, all of these older point guards, Lowry, they're getting paid at this age where you're like saying, jeepers, when that contract runs out, they're going to be 38, 40 years old. But what a great point guard. We saw what he did with OKC. You saw what he did with what a point guard could do for a team. So what he just brought up about Jericho with DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan was DeAndre Jordan because he had some guy named
Getting
CP3
him the rock.
getting him the rock in his position to do that. If he didn't have that, you wouldn't be talking about DeAndre Jordan the same way. And the minute CP was out of DeAndre Jordan's life, his NBA career wasn't that great.
Facts,
So,
facts. We've got over 100 in chat, and it's almost midnight on a football
yo,
Sunday. Shout out to you.
the SV
Let's go
Nation, we love you guys. We love you guys.
in full force.
Yep, Soulfinger, I always like. He said, yes, Elf couldn't hit an elephant in the backside with an ironing board from 3 or even the mid range. I love Soulfinger. He's the coolest, man.
Pedro saying we'll have a 50-win team this season guaranteed. What do you think some of your projections are for this season? What do you think how many wins we'll
I'm
get?
coming in at 47. I'm coming in at
47?
47 and 35. That's what I think that will come in. And like I hope and I think we'll make the playoffs. But we peaked a little too early last year. I think we had a win, but that 10-game win streak, sometimes it's all about timing and peaking at the right time. So I think maybe we peaked a little early last year, but I think 47 is my number. Chat, what are you thinking? So, chat, let us know what's your estimate for
Oh
the
yeah, let me
wins.
put a poll in. Let me put a poll
Beautiful,
into the chat. I
beautiful.
forgot we can put uh how many
You want me to do
wins, right?
that? How many wins? Yeah, next year.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, Brizo, so you're saying firing 5 different agents is a bad thing? It's a bad thing if you don't want to, if you like to be rich and you have to pay those percentages to those people. So firing one agent's not a bad thing. Firing 5 is a bad thing. So it's not very financially prudent to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Fleming, but that's why someone like Kyrie is so effective. He finds the open spots, rim, 8-footer, 15 to 7 to 3. Take what defense gives you. Yeah. Well, Kyrie is elite. Kyrie probably has some of the sickest handles I've ever seen, ever. In the history of basketball. The biggest issue with Kyrie is what we were talking about, Mitch. If Kyrie could stay healthy, that's Hall of Fame with your eyes closed. And but he has his issues. You saw I don't know how many people would walk away from a young nucleus like he had in Boston. I'm talking while you're getting your thing together. A
Yeah,
young
I'm listening.
nucleus, a young nucleus like he had in Boston, man. Walk away from that. So, but he's an elite player, and I love my Knicks. But the reality is, if the Nets stay healthy, KD, Harden, if they can, and Kyrie, it's very, very difficult to say they're not going to win or at least be right up there going for the championship next year. They're just, that's just elite talent, and that's what this league's all about. KD, God bless him, man. You blow out an Achilles, that has a lot to do with explosion. He came back, and I'm like saying he's in his 30s. I don't know if he'll be the same KD as we all know. He was. He was absolutely the same KD. And Harden showed that he wants the chip. He showed different aspects to his game, with assists and everything like that. So Brooklyn, if they stay healthy, that's why earlier when you said, you look at them and you look at Milwaukee, we just brought Kyle Lowry. I think is going to make a big difference with Miami. There's just a lot of talent out there. So if we do it, we're going to be earning it because we're going to be going against some really tough guys, man.
Foxy, how does it sound? How many wins will the Knicks have next season? Under 42, 42 to 50, or over 50?
Beautiful.
Number sound good? All
Yep.
right.
Well, that's perfect because I think Vegas picked 42.
Oh, did they? You see?
Yeah.
Look, maybe I should go get a job over at Vegas.
Yo.
Over at Vegas, in Vegas.
Well, you got the smile. I could see you on stage. But
Well, thank you for that. All right, so I put the poll in chat. Let me know what you guys decide, and then I'll announce the answer. I need some Jeopardy music. You think they'll copyright strike me if I play Jeopardy music?
I don't think they could do it if we do it ourselves.
Yeah, but then everybody might leave.
Word. Well, wait a minute. You did a video a few weeks ago where at the end, when you were out in Vegas, and you ended the video where you were taking.
Oh yeah.
You were singing, and the next thing I know, my dog was barking. I'm like, darn, man, what's going on with my dog? And I'm like, oh, Quis, you better stop singing. My dog is going crazy. So
I had to get the Lakers fans out of the Thomas and Mack Center quicker, so I had to serenade them, get them out of here.
So we have the same affliction. I can't sing.
Yeah, I can't. Hey, I can't sing, but it doesn't stop me. I just don't do it when there's a mic next to me.
I know. So don't hang out while I'm in the shower, and don't hang out when I'm driving.
Facts. No lies detected.
Yeah. Ask me no questions and tell you no lies. So Jay Baglin, 55 plus. Yo, you're optimistic, man. You're getting into JD land.
What did JD say?
No, I'm getting all confused. JD was very optimistic on the wins for the Giants. I think he's in the.
He was optimistic for both. I think he said 51 for the Knicks.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He was 11 and 6. Was it for the Giants?
Yeah, 10 or 7, 11-6 exactly. And I sent him a note saying, "Say that again." So,
run that back.
I'm sorry, man. Give me that Q-tip. For a second, I thought you said 11, and they have to see them today. Hey, it's only one game, but we'll see.
I'll do a little Q&A. Keyshawn is asking, what do you guys think Knox will bring next season?
A do-rag.
He needs to get him a silky. I don't know why he keeps wearing the poly do-rags. I can get him a silk do-rag. He just got to reach out to him.
Yeah. You know what? I'm hoping with Calipari, we saw Christian Wood. There's some players that takes 3 or 4 years for them to find their game. And the kid can shoot. The kid can absolutely shoot. And if you look at the amount of coaches he had and went through Fizdale and this, I'm hoping that maybe this is the year he matures. Hey, he can shoot. He has prototype size. hey, I'd love to see him part of his game come together. I know if he's going to get some minutes, but if he does get some minutes, Obi's the one that better be worried if Knox finds his game. So Ron, our boy Ron, says between 46 and 50. That's what I'm saying. The same, Ron. 47. So we're in the same ballpark. Duras 53. Book it. Yo, I like. Hey, God bless you guys. The SV Nation is positive. I like that. Hey, shout out to Cuts, Kicks, and Knicks, man. You're awesome. You know, Tone and other guys in the Nick fandom that support us. Really, really appreciate it. Did you guys see Trae Young doing WWE? Yeah, Keyshawn. Did you see that?
That was crazy.
Yep.
That
Hey,
yeah.
Vince was smart, man. He knows how to bring that, man. And
Mm-hmm.
Trey's playing likes playing the heel, as they say in wrestling. Check out that show, by the way. I think it's on Stars Heels. I've been watching. I've been enjoying it. If you like soap opera version of wrestling, but yo, I love that he's doing that. You know what? Since Reggie Miller, we haven't had somebody that comes in that the fans want to hate, and Trey's taking that and saying, "I want you to hate me." And you know what? Deuce wants to hate him too.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Yeah,
got some.
WWE is losing a lot of talent to AEW, so they gotta bring out the tricks. And
Yeah,
Trey
you.
Young one of them.
Yep. Frequency, my guy Frequency, who's really talented guy, 47 or better. I'm optimistic. Yep. We're on the same number. I'm real superstitious, so 4 and 7 is 11, and 11 is one of my lucky numbers. So that's why a lot of times I put stuff together. They're either combinations of 7 or 11. So you get real OCD when you get old like me. So I have
My
all
football
these.
number was 7 back in high school.
Yo,
Yeah, football number was
yo,
7.
yo.
I can't. I can't recall why I picked 7. That was a long.
Cerebral.
Maybe too many hits to the head, probably.
Yeah, yeah, man. So hey, shout out to Mikael Becton on
Oh
the
yeah,
Jets.
did he tear it?
They
Was
don't
it an
know yet.
ACL tear?
They think it's a sprain, and Hail Mary.
Okay.
I hope so. But yo, it's very similar to Zion. When you're that big, it's nothing but
Mm-hmm.
bad that comes when you go down. And he's
Mm-hmm.
massive, massive. So there are a lot of
Judy just also tore his ACL too. Jerry
yeah,
Judy
yeah. Did you see him
against the
crying?
Giants.
Terrible for the
Yeah,
kid. For the
brutal.
kid. But there were a lot of Hey, I think Washington had like 3 catastrophic injuries in just practice before Marcus Peters and others.
The Ravens. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ravens. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are getting. I think Fitzgerald got hurt today too.
Hurt his hip,
Yeah.
which could be
So
beneficial for the Giants, but we went out there and lost to the Broncos and Teddy Bridgewater. Doesn't make any sense. I'm like, what are these guys doing out here?
yeah, in the first half, he looked Hall of Fame, man. He couldn't stop, man. So let's see.
Had me so upset. This is why I can't stream Giants games. I start getting upset, start saying bad words, and then YouTube would take me down.
Yeah, Soulfinger says I'm pulling for Knox, but I see him bringing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If he doesn't improve his confidence, either that or he's taking Theo Pinson's spot.
And you gotta
Soulfinger,
make sure you say it the correct way. Sandwich.
sandwich,
Say it how you
yeah,
spelled it. Sandwich.
sandwich, yeah, soup and sandwich. So Camario Jarvis 50 and 32, Freak as they said 47. So yeah, so I think that it's all ballpark. So hey, I hope we get off a nice strong start at the beginning of our schedule. I think we could have put up in the first 10 games. We could have get some momentum for the season. So Trey Young, a trick with curls.
A trick with
So
curls. Pause.
yeah,
Also said big up to me and you, Foxy. Cuts, kicks, and nicks. He said it a few comments earlier.
yeah, man.
Patrick Fleming is saying Zion compared to a left tackle. I'm assuming you compared just the size of those two players, not necessarily any kind of playing similarity. Just when you're
No,
that
no
size,
playing,
you go
just
down.
size.
Yeah.
That it's about physics, and because you're in in the hospital field that
Mm-hmm.
when you put 300 pounds, it's just so much the tendons and the muscles and everything can take.
To bring
And
all that to a halt, to change directions, and it's different.
it was like the Thursday night game. What I thought when I watched Becton go down today, it's frightening the percentage of players that go down friendly fire, their own players hurting them. You know, JD sent me a snapshot of the game with Tampa Bay
With the elbow,
the
yeah.
elbow, the bone breaking out, and that was his own player. Today it was the guard that rolled up on Mikel's leg. So many of the players, you know, Judy that was just getting his leg trapped like that, but
Hmm.
so many guys, man, get hurt. Zion compared to LT. No, Zion is Zion, man. So and I don't want Zion on the Knicks, by the way. We have Randall.
Patrick Fleming is saying the Bears first is going to be big for the G-men. Should be easy road to replace Jones. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, then yeah, he's got to get out of here. Fumbling the ball again. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Slide, you're a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's stressful
What
watching the
else?
Giants these times.
Yeah, I would have lost a lot of money if I was a betting guy. Buffalo lost. Couldn't believe that. Green Bay
Hmm.
lost.
Green Bay got smoked. They didn't just
That's
lose, they got annihilated.
I know.
Nihil,
So
that's Latin.
so all you know, saying I know this game, and after the first week, I'm like, I don't know this game.
Yeah.
Like God, man, there was so many guys that I was picking the, you know, Burrows. That kid on Cincinnati came back from a tough knee injury and
Hmm.
lit it up today. Hey, the Browns, Kansas City came back and beat the Browns, man. God, Mahomes and stuff like that. Tyreek, that's a scary dude, man. Speed
Yeah.
kills. You
It's
know,
good to have football back. Definitely good to have football
good to
back.
have football back, and that's why as Sports Vibe we talk Knicks, but we talk sports, and in a few weeks we'll be talking MMA. You know,
Fact. Yep.
we love our MMA, so we'll be doing in maybe the November or so time frame one of the pay per views. Keith and I will be doing a pay per view where we can't show it for copyright reasons, obviously, but we'll be doing play by play. I am a jits or jujitsu fanatic, so I know all the moves and from striking and everything. So there's some really good fights coming up. But one of the beauties that we're looking forward to is that we're just more, you know, we love our Knicks, and as you can tell, we know our Knicks, but we're a lot more than Knicks. We know our sports, so you watch out. You'll be seeing different things over the next year or so that'll be coming from our guy Keys.
Definitely. We're gonna rotate a few other sports in as well. If we wanted to be strictly Knicks, we would have called it Knicks 5's TV. But
Exactly.
we're gonna do a little bit more, bring in some Giants content, a little bit more Giants content. Hopefully, I'll have JD come and help me out. He's been pretty successful. JD's been balling on Giants content. Shout out to that. Shout out
Yeah,
to that
man.
that guy over there. He's doing his thing.
Schmelik, I think I'm pronouncing it, is guy from WFAN. He was on with
Mm-hmm.
CP, and also shout out to CP, man. CP showed his versatility. He, you know, I said to JD, he should have a sister channel called Knicks Fan TV because the way he was talking about the
You mean Giants
Giants.
fan TV?
Well, meaning I think he could talk any sports, but you know, we only heard CP talking Knicks for the last few years. That guy went off and he knew his Giants. He knew his football.
Hmm.
And then you throw JD in there, and it's like, yo, and the guy from WFAN, yo. So real proud of them. Congrats, but like you said, JD knows his football, boy. So,
What you
but
call it?
he wasn't too happy today, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Most Giants fans weren't too happy today because we had it. We had it. All we had to do was beat the Broncos, the Washington football team. They're dealing with their quarterback with a hip injury. That would have been two easy, not easy games, but two wins to head into a softer stretch of the schedule. And we dropped the ball. We could barely score on the Broncos. The defense couldn't get off the field. The offense couldn't stay on the field.
No,
It was
yeah,
the same exact thing of last season. It felt like
yeah, 9 yards of rushing in the first half. Saquon, you know, I'm
it's
glad he came
ridiculous.
back. But you know what? We could have had a second stringer get the amount of yards he did today.
Well, no,
You
we couldn't because how many yards did Booker have? Booker didn't even do much better either. It was just
I
crazy.
I agree with you, man.
Hurt
So
didn't look good. He had, Von Miller was in the backfield almost immediately.
yeah,
Thomas. I think Thomas wasn't as terrible as Pert or Solder over on the right side, but
yeah.
still,
but Vaughn, man, I think he went to the fountain of youth. That dude's been doing it year after year after year, and we know how violent and brutal that sport is.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to keep doing that, man, that's a big guy too. A big fast guy. So
Yeah.
the first steps on these guys, but some of the tackling, Martinez on one of it was like wrap the dude up, man. He threw his shoulder and the guy knocked it off for a touchdown. He had Teddy had a couple of plays that made a play out of nothing, and it's like, come on, man. The rookie.
Like, why can't Daniel Jones do that? He's supposed to be an athletic quarterback.
He's a horse. He's a big guy. I know.
Yeah, they keep mentioning how he was running the same speed as Lamar Jackson, when he busted his butt when he was by himself, but we don't see any of that athleticism in the pocket.
Yeah, that's sacrilege.
Get
Please
open.
Mention his name.
Try to come on, extend the play. Try to allow your receivers to get some more time downfield. I know the O line is porous at this point. But come on, you got to do a little bit more in the backfield to get yourself some more time.
Yeah, talk about porous offensive line. I feel terrible for Zach Wilson. That kid is going to be running for his life. But power to him. He has elite arm talent, this kid. And he has nice feet getting out of the pocket. He's little, but he can move. But I think they miss Crowder. But God, that offensive line, especially now if they lose any amount of time Becton, they got Fant over there and they got Morgan Moses, but wow, that kid's running for his life, man. Offensive lines and Darnold's line is not that much better.
Yeah, but hey, I feel good for. I'm happy for Darnold. He was able to show the Jets they might have gave up on a real one. He was looking pretty good out there with the Panthers.
We're brothers because my wife says to me, "Why are you smiling and clapping your hands?" And I went, this guy Anderson just scored. He used to play for the Jets. I am so glad. They should have never let him go in the first place. I said, there's an old rule in sports. Speed kills. And I said, that guy, we don't have anyone. One thing if you say we're going to let him walk because we got somebody a blazer who can do it and catch the ball, we should have never let him go. So when he caught that ball today, I was cheering for him like stupid. You should have never let that guy go, boy. Never let him go. So, good night, Geraldine. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, Manchild, thank you for joining us. I hope all is well. Thanks for joining us. It's never too late, man. And as Quis was saying, right now we have 99 in the
we're one away.
And we're one away. So if you haven't hit that like button, please support the SV Nation. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that dark reminder bell. And please share the link of, on your favorite social media platforms. We really, really appreciate it. Quis is over the 4.5 subscriber milestone. 5K, here we come.
Yeah, we just cracked 100 too. Shout out to the chat. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I can get ready for work now in the morning with a smile on my face.
Yeah, and as Quis opened up, I am so proud to be part of the SV Nation, joining the family, the Sports Vibe family. I'll be here with Quis on camera during the season. I'll be with Quis behind the camera and producing role in some ways this year. So I am so proud to call this home, man. Thank you again. It's an honor working with you.
Definitely, Foxy. I appreciate you being willing to work with me behind the scenes and also to come on and chop it up with me. So thank you. I know Sundays aren't necessarily the greatest days to be live streaming, but you've been here for me on a couple Sundays. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all your help and all your support behind the scenes.
Yeah. The only issues I have is that I have to tell my wife that Hector made fun of the animal print sofa that she made when I redid my studio. So you're not going to get away with that, Hector. I'm going to still be telling her that you making fun of my decorating and the new studio I have with the brick and the and everything. Hopefully everyone likes I got new camera, I got new lighting. So like the players in the off season get their game together. Foxy's getting his game together, part of the Sports Vibes TV family, and we're going to be, 22 days away from preseason and about 40 away. JD, get your vaccine. I keep telling, get his vaccine. So because he's gonna blink and it's gonna be opening night, and it's like, whoa! I knew I should have got that 2 weeks ago. So, yo, I bring it up.
I
Hey,
wasn't expecting that one, Foxy. That came out of left field.
yo, let me show. I didn't put it up in my office yet, but we call it the Syndicate. JD, Sports Vibe, George from Into the Knicks Verse, and Foxy. The four of us are great friends, and our little thing we call us the Syndicate. I got to find the room on my new wall here, but we're proud of the Syndicate. We love each other. There's no drama. We talk Knicks. We smile. We love our family, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, we geared up for a pretty exciting season. I think all four of us are pretty prepared, I think, to really help. Now, I won't say create the narrative, but at least be unbiased in our review of the team and be fair to the team. Because we've seen New York media, they're really not fair to the players. They're not fair to management a lot of times. And I think one thing that we like to do here on Sports Vibes TV, and I would assume JD and George like to do it on their channel as well, is just be honest in what we see, not try to play favorites. And, at times it leads us to be a little bit critical of players, but that's what you do with people that you that you love. We love the New York Knicks. We love the players on our teams, and we want to see them get better. So in order for them to get better, we just have to bring up areas of improvement. Like, SV fam, if I'm on a stream one day and you feel like I need to, have a little bit more energy, feel free to let me know. Hey, Keith, great show. Just give us a little bit more of the pizzazz. And I'm like, and I got you. We look out for each other, and that's what I try to do here on the channel. Look out for the players. Who knows? Maybe they might view the video one day and say, hey, Foxy, Keith, they were making some pretty valid points. Let me see if I can just, try to do that in the gym. So that's what I just try to do here on Sports 5 CV. A little bit of journalism, a little bit of research, a little bit of analytics here and there.
A lot of journalism. And folks, seriously, behind the scenes, just give you an example, to put together just this show, 56 pages. 56 pages of sharing with Keith on the stuff. So we're working, that's just this show. And then we got the show next week, and then after that. So we're working, we want to be as entertaining as possible. And like we said, part of me is I'm glad the media is the way they are, because it gives us, they're so bad that when you do quality stuff and you have your heart in it, and you want to, and you care about the people and the fans. We love the chat. We love our SV family that, so we put in the work to make it as entertaining and as educational as possible, but we're also humble. We want to hear your takes. We're not saying we know everything. We want to learn from you as much as hopefully we can share, and you can learn from us. But it's a mutual gratification society that it's just much respect on both sides. We're not anything like that media that clickbait and all making up fabricated stories. Sometimes you may not like what we're saying, but it's all based on numbers and it's opinion. That's the beauty of what we're doing. Opinion's not right or wrong, man. It's just your opinion. And
we're definitely going to be adding a phone line to the channel as well. So stay tuned for that. That way you guys can call and chop it up on the phone with me, Foxy, whoever else I may have on the channel.
Yeah, Soulfinger, that's what I love about your program. You and Fox always keep it 100%. You give the info we need, and we want without that crap. Keep dropping diamonds. Thank you so much. What you do, fellas. Soulfinger, thank you so much. Yeah, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it, man. It motivates us, and like I said, after another great show, Ron said, great breakdown. Keys, Foxy, take care. Thank you so much. We know you guys. Our Future Media. Yo, how are you, man? I think he used to be Our Future Gaming, but he's now stepped up his game to Our Future Media. He's always been
I was looking at it, and I'm like, Our Future Media? That is Our Future Gaming? Salute. I was wondering.
It's always a great
It looked
supporter.
familiar, and I was thinking, and I'm like, Our Future Media.
Yeah, so Tricky Nicky, again, you and your family, hope all is well. Thanks again, all of you. Please, you'll be seeing more stuff coming of us. Thanks so much for all hitting those likes and hitting those subscribe buttons, and also the interaction. We want to know, what's important to you is important to us. So we're always looking for ideas for shows and looking for things. So we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. See, I start singing. They're gonna kick me off YouTube.
Hey, hold on. Is my dog barking? Wait a minute. Ruff. So,
All right,
yeah.
Foxy, let's wrap it up here before I start singing
Okay.
some more. I'm singing High School Musical. This is getting crazy.
I know, but it's all love. It's all love, man.
Yeah. It's been almost 3 hours, Foxy. Just a little behind the scenes to the chat. Foxy and I were discussing an hour and 15-minute show. But every time I come on live, I'm having too much fun. And this goes way past the time I had allotted for the
I know,
show.
Chad, stop it. You're making us happy. You're making us want to talk and interact with you. Will you stop that already? I'm telling you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. We got a great community here at Sports 5's TV. I want to say shout out to them once again. I can't say it enough.
we'll be back next Sunday. We'll be going over the second unit and other things. So we'll be breaking it down the same way, and you'll hear some thoughts that we have. And like I said, we have a lot of interesting stuff coming up.
Yep. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys have the reminder bell lit up. And if you want, you can go into your phone, set a little reminder, 9:30 Sunday next week. We're gonna have another phenomenal show for you. This time we're gonna be talking the second unit of the Knicks and seeing whether or not some of those players can potentially, push the issue or try to get into the starting lineup. So I think that's gonna be a pretty fun show for you guys. So make sure you're tuned in.
Can't wait.
All right.
Can't wait.
So, Foxy, just want to say thank you once again for showing up to the channel and co-hosting the show with me. I greatly appreciate your contributions to the channel, both on screen and behind the screen. Also, want to say shout out to the chat. SV fam, you guys are phenomenal. You've rocked out with us on a football Sunday. We've had almost over 100 people in chat. We got over 101 likes during a stream. I think that's actually a first. I can't remember. I think that's the first 100 likes during a live stream. So shout out to you guys. As you can see, this off season continuing to try to get better, bigger and better here at this channel. So make sure if you're not subscribed, join the race or join the chase to 5K. Foxy, anything else you want to say before we out?
Just much respect and much love to the SV family. And again, so proud to be part of the team and can't wait to see you guys next Sunday. God bless everyone. Have a good, safe week.
All right. So once again, I'm Quis, joined by my guy Steven Fox here on Sports 5's TV, and we're up.
Love you.